We are now live. Another week of instantly reacting to week 3 of the NFL. Week 3 was no different than week 2. A lot of different upsets. And man, our pick'em is not doing so well right now.
It's actually wildly annoying because I'm all geeked up. I was the only one to pick Minnesota. They absolutely handled the Texans.
Smoked them.
And then I look at the rest of my picks and I'm sad. I don't know why I just cannot get on a hot streak with these picks. Week 1, 12 wins, calm. Week 2, I think I had 5. This week, we'll be lucky if we push 8. I mean, that's the hope. If the Chiefs win, the Bills win, and the Bengals win, I think I'll get to 8.
It's been some crazy weeks, though. You mentioned it. Last week, I think there was like 8 or 9 straight up upsets. And then this week, too, everyone was on the Raiders. They just smoked. They just smoked the Ravens. The Panthers are coming into town. I mean, the Saints and Eagles, we were not expecting that, too. No. So it's just been a wild couple of weeks as Rasheed Rice goes crazy. If you guys are watching this after the fact, by the way, this is like halftime of the Sunday Night Football game. So if some crazy stuff happens in this game, we'll be reacting to it.
We're liable to tweak.
But that's also not why
we're not here for
we don't start off with the 2 games going on.
That's a good.
You're right. We are doing this during the primetime game of the NFL because if we wait until after, it becomes very late for us. We are East Coast time. So we're filming this at 12. We're finishing at 1 in the morning. We got things to do. We're trying to get some sleep. We're really tired. So we wanted to find a sweet spot. And I think this format's going to work even better because every week in the NFL, something happens and fan bases of teams are excited about what happens with their given team. So in this instant reaction, of course, there are a couple games that we are not going to get to talk about, like the Sunday Night Football game and the Monday Night Football game, which is a doubleheader this week. But for the most part, we are going to talk about every single game that happened in the Sunday early slate and the Sunday afternoon slate. And without further ado, let's talk about the biggest game, the biggest highlight from the pick'em, the Eagles beating the Saints 15-12. Now, Rev, you've been waiting to talk about this. You've been on Twitter. You was very excited. I know you were. So what do you got to say?
Nah, I don't want to go first. I don't think I need to go first. I would love to hear what you have to say because I remember last conversation like it was fucking yesterday. I remember it. Like I just remember everything you said. You said we were cooked. You told me you was being honest. You thought we were cooked. You said Dallas had another opportunity. They weren't cooked yet. Fresh off that ass whooping. When they did come back, they made it look good. But fresh off that ass whooping against the Saints, the Eagles had a lot to prove. You know, the Eagles mid-game lost Lane Johnson. He did not come back out for the second half. They lost Smitty in the 4th. Unfortunate. And it just felt like backs were against the wall. Darius Slay went out for the last possession. He got hurt. But I would love to just hear your thoughts. I hope that you come here with a new opportunity to change your opinion because I'm all about changing opinions. I'm all about, admitting when you're wrong. And I think you have an opportunity here to admit that you were wrong as fuck, as a matter of fact. Like, so wrong to the point where I was looking for you today on Twitter and I just couldn't find you. You were just...
I'm there.
You were tweeting when Jalen Hurts was fucking up. No, you were there. Then it came to a certain point where I couldn't find your tweets. I didn't see you. So I'm just here to... I want to know, have you made a change? Like, what's different? You saw our defense. You thought we'd get 30 clipped. You thought they'd run up and down the field. They did not do that. So just can we get some new different thoughts here, or are you still the same hater you were last week?
What changed is that there's one team that I didn't think they are who I thought they were. And that team that I don't think is what I thought they were is the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, week 2, you collapsed. And I think the question marks with the team are still there. The head coach, Nick Sirianni, I'm not a fan of Nick Sirianni. And in this game, he very well could have lost you the game. At first, Jalen Hurts' interception, it's a 3-point swing. Jalen Hurts fumble in enemy territory, that's 3-point swing. Before the first half, the fake tush push, and you don't convert on 4th down.
One of the worst play calls of the season.
That's a 3-point swing. Then in the third quarter, you go for it on 4th and 3 when you could have kicked the field goal, and at that point, you needed all the points that you could get. That's a 3-point swing. We're talking about 12 points that Nick Sirianni left on the board in a game that you needed every single point. So Nick Sirianni, to me, is still somebody that I'm keeping a microscope on. I thought the defense performed fantastic. I thought they were excellent against the run. To be fair to the Saints, Eric McCoy, their center, went out.
Yep.
And I thought when he went out, their offense stalled because Jalen Carter dominated the game. Milton Williams was awesome as well. Jordan Davis was good. The interior for the Saints could not survive this type of game. Cesar Ruiz also went out later in the ball game. This is the most impressive win that the Eagles have had in, dare I say, 6, 7, 8 months?
Since the Bills game?
Probably since the Bills overtime game.
Facts.
This is the most impressive win the Eagles had. They dominated from start to finish. This score was close, but the Eagles dominated. It might have been 15-12, but I just mentioned all those points Nick Sirianni left on the board. This was a complete domination. If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at the stats. The Eagles had 460 yards of offense.
Yep.
The Saints had 219 yards of offense. The Saints only rushed for 3.1 yards per carry. And what made this performance even more impressive, A.J. Brown didn't play in this game.
Yep.
You lose Lane Johnson in this game. You lose Mekhi Becton in this game. At some point in the game, you lose Devontae Smith, and the Eagles still find a way to win on the road against a team. And the Saints, who they have been red hot, the hottest team in the NFC, and I think they are still for real, and I think they will win the NFC South. So this was the game that proved the most to me about the Eagles, and most importantly, trusting the defense a little bit more, because that defense really came to play. That offense was sloppy in moments, and yes, it came through when it mattered most, but I also look at the Saints defense and two players running into each other that created the play. It was 3rd and 16. If you call a quarters coverage, you play zone, I think the Saints win that game. But being ultra aggressive, playing man coverage, having two defenders run into each other, and then Goddard gets a 61-yard gain, I thought that right there cost the Saints the game, but the Eagles capitalized on that mistake. But the biggest story of the game was their defense and the rushing offense. Saquon Barkley, that big-time run he had for a touchdown, that was game-changer for the Eagles as well to put points on the board. I didn't think it was going to come this early. The Saints get installed an offense like this, and the Eagles did it, so credit to them.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Philly. I didn't pick Philly to win, right? You know, I thought the Saints, the way they've been playing the first 2 weeks, Philly coming off a real emotional loss in week 2, it just felt like all the momentum was going the Saints' way. But I don't really have too many questions about Philly outside of the questions we had coming into the game. Was still like defensively did great against the Saints. Does that hold up for a full season? I don't know. And then Nick Sirianni, I think, I mean, we'll see what happens at the end of the season, but barring a deep playoff run, I don't see a world where he ends up coming back. Not even just talking about the points he left on the board by going for it multiple times in a low-scoring game where your defense is actually showing up and you've been able to run the ball where you should take the points there, right? Like, I get it. You want to have aggressive mindset and you want to build this culture here, but you got to be able to balance it to where you don't go fucking, like full Brandon Staley sometimes, right? Where you're just going crazy, but also you're not ultra-conservative and you're punting at the opposing 40-yard line. So you got to find a balance there. I still don't think. I think the bigger story here is that the Saints aren't just runaway favorites in the NFC South. We'll see what ends up happening with this Atlanta Falcons game. The Falcons somehow come out here and I think they're leading, or maybe they're down 2 right now. Down 2. They just hit a field goal. If they end up beating the Chiefs at home, I think we go into next week saying Atlanta has just as good of a shot, if not a better chance, to win this division, because what we saw from the Saints the first 2 weeks was just utter domination on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. All of the motion, the play action, all of that stuff was great and it was tremendous. And you go through and look at all the numbers when you're using motion and play action, the advanced numbers, EPA, success rate, that all goes up. But as time goes on, as defense coordinators get film on you, it's going to change, right? We knew the Saints weren't going to be this efficient for 17 weeks. Derek Carr wasn't going to average 20 yards per completion the entire season. So it's only 3 weeks in now, but the Saints eventually are going to have to find counters to what defenses show them. And I thought Philly did a great job not biting for a lot of play action stuff. They were not getting beat over the top. Rashid Shaheed did drop like 140, 50-yard touchdown on the left side. But other than that, Chris Olave got some like intermediate 20, 30-yard gains, but there weren't those big chunk plays, post routes, go balls, 50, 60 yards that we saw the first 2 weeks. So interested to see what the Saints do the rest of the way, because they do still have a couple tough opponents coming up. I know they got Dallas, or they just beat Dallas. Excuse me. They got still a couple.
They play the
Chiefs next week. So. Yeah, they still got a couple of teams that it could go either way. You go out there, you beat Kansas City, all is good. You go out there and lose to Kansas City, you sitting there 2-2. Now we might look at you a little bit different. But that's my bigger takeaway. Is just after 2 weeks, Saints the clear favorite. This is what happens, right? You lose one game to a Philly team that 2-3 days ago, they're dead. They got no hope because of one drop ball. They go out there on the road, multiple guys are down, and you get that win. Now everything's changed, and Philly looks like they're back. Dallas just had a big loss. We'll talk about that later. But really interested to see how the Saints do these next couple of weeks against some good opponents.
Yeah, this is I'm glad you came here and you admitted your wrongs, man. I appreciate that. I thought I was going to have to come here and scream, holler, and yell. Didn't need to do that.
But listen, here's the thing, Rev.
Yes.
If I'm wrong about something, I'm gonna tell you.
Right.
I felt the Eagles were what they were. That's me being honest with you.
I think.
And last year, and I hate that you guys have made me the Eagles hater, because last year I told you to Hurt struggle with blitzes and zones. We saw that last year. I picked the Cowboys to win the NFC East. We saw that happen. So all I've been doing was being honest on the Eagles. If the Eagles prove me wrong, which in this game, they stopped one of the most dominant Russian football teams in the season so far, and they held them to 3.1 yards per carry, then opinions changed. But week 1, they couldn't stop the Packers' rushing attack in the second half. Week 2, they couldn't stop the Atlanta Falcons on the ground, and Kirk Cousins led a 70-yard drive to score within a minute. So when you look at those things, yes, those are still question marks that I have. But you have a performance against an explosive offense, you have an elite defensive performance, then things change.
I think, and this is the beauty of an NFL season, things change, opinions change. My whole stance has always been wait and see. Give it time. Give it time. You have a new DC. Give these young guys time to mesh. And it only took 2.5 weeks for them to go in and lock up the alleged best offense in the league after 2 weeks. Wait and see. We're too reactionary. We jump to conclusions. I think that Atlanta team was able to run the ball, but they couldn't put points on the board. That's what really matters to me.
Red zone defense has been elite,
amazing.
Elite
if you
for
can
Philly
do
this
it,
year.
and I don't care if you have 500 to 600 yards, if you cannot put points on the board, that shit does not matter to me. And I think that's what Philly showed against that Atlanta game, outside of that last drive, which they were just all fucked up. But I think what the change in this game was their pass rush was able to win. That's been the difference for me these last 3 weeks. From weeks 1, weeks 2, you saw that pass rush not be able to beat one-on-ones. You saw that pass rush have no movement inside. They were just doing nothing. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, they weren't able to do anything. And then you saw in this game a change. Jalen Carter was the best player on the field on defense.
He was amazing.
Jordan Davis was dominating. Brandon Graham had himself a game. I mean, this team, the Kobe Dean made some plays. This team in the pass rush was able to change the game. And when you have a secondary that's not as great as other teams, you have a secondary that's young, you kind of need that pass rush to kind of set the tone so they didn't have to do too much. You mentioned the Shaheed drop. That was a pretty bad ball by Carr. I felt Carr should have, but
Carr was terrible.
Shout out to Quinion for staying in the play and able to break it up. You know, shout out to Slay to break up a play that was it was
the
close.
opposite side.
Yep,
to
in the
Shaheed.
red zone, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they were making plays, and that's what you need. But you need your pass rush to set the tone. Then offensively, you know, I felt like we had amazing drives. Just Hurts had unfortunate situations. I thought the Smitty interception was on both of them. Smitty ran a bad route. I felt like Hurts saw he ran a bad route, but still trusted his receiver to make a play. I think that was on both of them. The fumble was unfortunate. You have to just be aware of your surroundings, and if you're going to run with force, run with speed. So it's like we had drives. We were able to move the ball in the Saints. It's just we couldn't capitalize. We couldn't finish. The thing with Nick is I don't have a attachment to Nick Sirianni, but I don't think he's good or bad. I think he's kind of up in the air. Last week, we saw him not go for it on that 4th down, you know, after the Saquon drop, and he got a lot of slack for it. Now he comes out this week, and he, I guess,
tripling down.
I guess, listened to the media and chose to continue to go for it. But not, I don't mind go for it if you're making the right play calls on 4th down. I feel like that was the problem. You went for it at the right times, but you didn't make the right play calls. Like that run to Saquon after not going to touch was nasty. I didn't like that at all. And I think with Nick, the problem is he doesn't know what type of coach he wants to be. He doesn't know what type of coach he needs to be for this offense. I thought we needed 3 points on the board to go into the second half. We just needed points on the board. We were down. We have 0 points. I get it. You want to go for it, but just take the points. I thought multiple times we had an opportunity to get points up, and we just made the wrong calls on 4th down. And I think with Hurts, you know, I saw some stats where he this is like his 17th or 18th game with a turnover or something like that. His turnover problems have been pretty bad. It's rapidly getting worse. And I think the one thing I can say about him is when he does make a turnover, he does bounce back pretty fucking well after a turnover. You see him start getting in the rhythm. I guess that's his rhythm thing. I throw a turnover, now I get back into
Just
it.
need to get it out.
Yeah, but I think with Hurts, that for me, that is a little, I'm keeping my eye on it because the turnovers, we can't have those. We have to limit the turnovers. And Nick, you have to understand what type of coach you want to be. And I think that are 2 things that could hold us back at the moment. But with a Saints team that was firing, a Saints team that the crowd was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
They were locked in from start to finish. Our defense from quarters 1 to quarter 4 played amazing, and this was a statement win for us, and we got it done.
There was one drive that the Eagles let up on. And to be fair, the Saints capitalized and were able to score a touchdown on that one. That was maybe the only drive of the game that I felt that the Saints were really clicking on all cylinders, whether that was Derek Carr hitting his throws, making the right decision, Alvin Kamara making some nice plays. The Philadelphia Eagles obviously made the statement of the week. And, of course, I'm right here with you, Joel. I picked the Eagles to lose this game. The Saints simply been playing too hot of football. But one thing that we can say, or the one thing that I was pretty adamant on, is you can't look at this performance from them the week prior against Atlanta and automatically use it to kind of minimize what they can be. It's a terrible loss, no doubt. To lose in that fashion, especially with the history that you had shown to end the season last season, where you had 3 games where you had blown when you were winning under 2 minutes. You do it again in week 2. Why it's even better is you had a similar situation in this game, and you guys still bounced back, and you guys were still able to go put points on the board. A 3rd and 16, although a broken play because the defense were shacking a fool, the fact that you're still able to capitalize, hit your throw, and Goddard to be amazing after the catch. Goddard was the MVP on offense.
170 yards, right?
Yep.
Saquon was amazing. I get it.
11 targets, 10 receptions.
But why I look at Goddard as the MVP is because you have no AJ, you have no Smitty, and now you have Goddard as your number 1 option. And 9 out of 10 times you look at that and you think, wow, that's kind of a pretty shitty situation. He stepped up to the plate. 170 yards for a tight end, especially when the tight end position has been pretty lackluster so far to start the season. I give a lot of credit to the Eagles, especially on the road against one of the hottest teams in the league, a team that probably has more hype around them than any other squad where we stand prior to this game. Resiliency. That's what they showed us. And now we look at the Philadelphia Eagles in a different lens because this was an extremely impressive win. Last thing I'll say, I'm not looking at this game and tearing down the Saints too much. I respect what the Philadelphia Eagles did in terms of executing against them. Losing your interior line, of course things are going to change offensively. That's really what got them going, not just versus the Panthers, but especially against the Dallas Cowboys. And on defense, they made timely plays. Although Nick Sirianni was acting like a dumbass from time to time, you still have to go out there and stop them on 4th down. We're all anticipating the tush push. When you see them line up in that formation, it's tush push. And when they go and they give the ball to Saquon Barkley, it catches us all off guard. But the Saints were still on it, and we were still able to stop them and get the ball. They just weren't able to capitalize on offense. To lose this game, if you're a Saints fan, if you are the Saints team as a whole, it's disappointing. But at the same time, you really didn't deserve to be in it in the first place. You take this, you move on, and obviously you try not to let it affect what has been a really awesome start to your season.
I don't hold Nick Sirianni accountable for the results of the plays.
Yeah.
I hold him accountable for the process of it. This was a low-scoring game. You needed every single point that you can get. Just kick the field goals. Yep. The reason why I had an issue with not going for it against the Falcons was because if you kick a field goal, you're only up 6 points.
Yeah.
If the Falcons score a touchdown, they kick an extra point, they're up 1 point. So it doesn't matter if you go for it or you kick the field goal, really. If you go for it and you don't get it, it's a 3-point game. And now the Falcons naturally aren't playing as aggressive because they're playing for the field goal. No, I'm talking about the Falcons. Because they're playing for the field goal instead of the touchdown. But now that you are up 6, they are aggressively playing for the touchdown. And if they do score, now you're losing the game. Fact. So that's the biggest issue I had. It's not the result of it. If you go for it on 4th down and you don't get it, I really don't care as long as the process of it was sound. But this wasn't a high-scoring game. This wasn't a game where you thought, oh, man, we got to go for it on 4th down because if we don't, the Saints are just going to drive down the field and score on us.
I'll give you the opposite, though. Sirianni's trusted his defense today. He believed in his guys, and majority of the time, they answer the call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I agree with you on last week. Although in hindsight, Saquon just needs to catch the ball in the game.
No, but I think you still got to go for on 4th down because you have to try to ice the game and just end it right there.
I agree. And
I feel like going for the field goal though is trusting your defense.
Because if you would have ran the ball on 3rd down instead of passing on 3rd and 3, the clock runs out. And then the Eagles were averaging 4 yards per carry in that game.
I think Atlanta had like one timeout.
If you get one run and let's say they stop it, you only get 1 yard. You're at a 4th and 2 situation. 40 seconds run off the clock. You're not even giving the Falcons a chance to really score with that much time left on the clock. So that's the issue I had with Nick Sirianni, and that I feel like he consistently makes these situational blunders. But I agree with you with the Saints. I mean, listen, their interior offensive line, they got injured. But in the same breath, Clint Kubiak with the Vikings was 32nd in 3 and outs that year when he was the offensive coordinator. He gets great offenses, but they also can stall out. So it's up to him to find counters, because when the Eagles took away the explosives, those play action deep passes, there was nothing else for Derek Carr to get to.
To be fair, they were there. Derek needed to execute.
There were moments like the Rashid he played. There were moments where I
Yes.
definitely put it on Carr, but for the most part, I just thought this offense, whenever Derek Carr was dropping back or whenever he was coming off a play action, there was somebody instantly in his face, and he could not do anything. In the moments where he did have time, there was just nowhere to go with the ball. Now, the next game, the Texans and the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings beat the Texans 34-7. They move on to 3-0. The Texans in this game averaged 2.7 yards per rush, 11 penalties for 88 yards, 4 for 14 on third down, and C.J. Stroud had 2 turnovers.
This was an ass kicking. Start to finish, this was an ass kicking. I was a bit surprised. Like, I took the Texans. I know Drew was the only one, shout to him, taking the Vikings. I was surprised that I was Drew was the only one to take it because of the Niners when they had in week 2. But I think a lot of us were still kind of waiting and seeing, similar to the Saints in week 1, you beat the Panthers. Like, right, week 2, you get the win over the Cowboys. I think we wanted to see really like 2 weeks going out there and beating quality opponents from this Vikings team. But it's hard to look at this team, and their division's great. The conference got some contenders in it right now, but they're in the mix with everybody in this conference, right? I don't think there's anybody that stands out, whether it's San Francisco, Detroit, any of the top teams that we had going into this season, and look at Minnesota and think, oh yeah, they can't hang with them. They just beat the 49ers.
True.
Houston is a contender in the AFC that we all believe is like a top 3 to 4 team in the AFC, and they just went out there and smoked them. We've been talking about this team, how well coached it's been for over a year, really since Brian Flores got there and the defense turned around last season, because we know KOC has the offense on lock. But it was funny when I was doing the breakdown when it comes to, I was like, damn, this is a really close game, but you know what? I'm going to put my money with CJ Stroud. Sam Darnold was the one out there taking care of the ball. Sam Darnold was the one who's being more consistent on his passes. He's been sensational this year for them, right? The guy that has been looked at as a bridge quarterback. I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but he could very well see himself in a Geno Smith type situation at the end of this year, where you could get like a nice little maybe 50 to 75 million guaranteed. JJ McCarthy, if he wants to sit one more year, that's not the end of the world, because you got Sam Darnold, who's showing right now he could play at minimum top 15 level and can uplift this offense at times. And this was a game where the first half, Jettis was going crazy, 80 yards and a touchdown. Second half, we didn't really see it. Aaron Jones had another sensational game here as well. And then you just think, what happens when TJ Hawkinson is back in this lineup at 100%? Jordan Addison is back in this lineup 100%. We're talking about back-to-back weeks now of this defense more or less shutting down the 49ers and the Houston Texans in the grand scheme of things, right?
Sure.
Only 7 points to this Texans offense. I know they've struggled a bit, right? They put up 29 in week 1. It was a little clunky. Week 2, you only put up 19 points, was it, against the Bears?
Didn't look great against them.
And again, did not look great. There was really no consistency. But this is still a super talented offense with a offensive play caller we love, and of course weapons that we love. So you look at both sides of the ball, the way Darnold's playing, you look at defensively, how well coached this team is. I mean, the Vikings right now look as good as any team, not just in the NFC, but in the NFL.
I love that Sam Darnold is playing well. I always felt like he just needed a good situation, and this was the perfect situation for him to go to. I think I overlooked the Vikings coming into this game. You know, I thought it was going to be a close game, but I gave the advantage to the Texans. I think I overlooked their coaching. Even though I praise their coaching outwardly, I thought I overlooked it because Brian Flores already came off a week where he faced an offense similar to what he went up against the Texans. Mm-hmm. The only difference is that Kyle Shanahan is better at calling plays than Bobby Slowick, but it's the same offensive scheme. Brian Flores fooled the Texans offense, I would say even more so in this game. I mean, it looked that bad. The 49ers were in it till the very end, and they ran the ball well also. The Texans right now offensively look very clunky. I think adding Stephon Diggs into the offense is going to be more of a transition process than we believe. This team still can't run the ball. Even after Joe Mixon's blow-up performance in week 1, in week 2, he averaged less than 3 yards per carry. He did get hurt in that game. But even if you count week 1 and week 2, the Texans' rushing success rate ranked 31st in the NFL. And looking, it was that bad. Just in totality, weeks 1 and week 2, they were 31st even after their blow up week 1 game. The Colts run defense, I think we can just admit, like, it's just very bad. So that game didn't move me much. The bigger concern is that last year the Texans' offensive line was unhealthy. So you thought with the healthier group they could be better. This offensive line right now looks like a huge liability, and at times CJ just has no time. I look at CJ's turnovers. The first one really wasn't his fault. It was a tip ball. I feel like CJ just got unlucky in some moments, but it's just so hard when you go up against Brian Flores and he's sending so many different looks at you. I think he is one of the best, or the best defense coordinator outside of Spags in the NFL. And then Kevin O'Connell, you trust calling plays more than Bobby Slowick. Sam Darnold, and this is the point I really want to make on this topic, even though we're going to talk about the other teams later. Sam Darnold so far through 3 games, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 117.3 passer rating. He's playing at an elite level. Justin Fields thus far in 3 games, 518 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 95.3 passer rating. The Steelers are 3-0. Malik Willis in 2 games, 324 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 122.7 passer rating, and the Packers are 2-0 with Malik Willis. Malik Willis was thrown away by the Titans. Justin Fields was thrown away by the Bears. Sam Darnold was thrown away by the Jets and Panthers. And you look at them succeeding now, a lot of it is situation and infrastructure. If you go into a situation and you have an offensive line, you have a good play caller, you have some good weapons, you have coaching that's going to put you in position to succeed, we see these guys being maximized at the highest of levels. And I'm really happy for Sam. I think this Vikings team is for real. If I was doing my NFC power rankings today, the Vikings would be the number 1 team in the NFC. You don't want to peak too early in the NFL, and I think the Vikings can't sustain this because they have some great coaching, but what a start for them. Beating the 49ers, then beating the Houston Texans. These are 2 contenders we saw, or we viewed as contenders coming into the season, and for the Minnesota Vikings to beat both of them, we have to start taking the Minnesota Vikings as a team that can seriously compete.
And didn't just beat the Texans, absolutely smack them around and do whatever they wanted. One thing that surprised me, even though I did pick Minnesota to win, I believe that the defense was going to step up more than anything. What surprised me was how efficient they were on the ground. Aaron Jones still rushes for over 100 yards, and that was my big thing with the Houston Texans defense. It's been amazing and elite at stopping the run. Now, granted, I look at DeAndre Swift in a completely different light. I think he's completely done, especially after this performance versus the Indianapolis Colts. But then week 1, when you go out there versus the Indianapolis Colts and JT averages 3 yards a carry, and we've seen what JT's been able to do in consecutive weeks, I was very impressed with their rush defense. And for Minnesota to still be as efficient and as effective as they were on the ground today. Aaron Jones looks like one of the better pickups of the offseason as well. I know running back movements, everyone's all skeptical about it. But we've seen Saquon go to the Eagles, already show his impact. And Aaron Jones really go and make his impact felt. But Sam Darnold is the story. My dad texted me and he tried to go and over-exaggerate a little bit. Because comeback player of the year right now seems to be his award for the taking. He goes, is he the MVP? Obviously, I knew he was joking.
Right now, it's not.
Right now, it's not an insane statement to make.
There's a few dudes in there, though.
There are a few dudes. They have made such a strong impression on the rest of the league. When you beat the Niners, people's ears perk. Okay, you beat one of the premier teams, especially when their offense looked as dominant as it did against the New York Jets. All right, we're listening. Now you go up against the Houston Texans and you straight up embarrass them. And you stop, which I agree with you. Their offense has not looked as good as anticipated. It's primarily because this offensive line's not giving chances for plays to develop. But regardless of that fact, it has not looked like we had anticipated coming into the season. But you go out there and you really do a great job against Brock Purdy. You do an amazing job against CJ Stroud. You have to be taken legit. You are a legit team right now, and you have them at top of your NFC. Who can disagree with you right now?
I think the only team that really can give them fits for that top spot right now.
Healthy Niners.
Probably healthy Niners, but the Vikings just beat them. But it's also the Packers. You look at the coaching that the Packers have with Matt
It's
LaFleur.
fair.
They have
I would also
elite-
say Philly. I would also, if you're gonna say Packers, I would also say Philly.
Healthy?
If it's gonna make you happy, I'll group them in there, Riv.
Hey,
I don't
that's
want to get
growth.
into a
Take it.
screaming match.
growth.
Right now, it's Sunday night.
Malik Willis out there putting up better numbers than Jordan Love did week one.
putting up better-
Think about it. They've won these 2 games.
He's putting up better numbers
Both of
than Jalen
y'all
Hurts.
and I for the first ride. I didn't think they'd beat the Colts.
Right now, baby.
What did
Malik
you
Willis
say?
has played
I
better
said
than
Malik
Jordan
Willis
Love.
putting up better numbers than Jalen Hurts right now.
Oh my god!
I said putting up better numbers than Jordan
You know,
Love.
Jalen Hurts has the most game-winning drives in Eagles history now, but not.
You haven't really had a lot of clutch quarterbacks then, I guess, right?
We have a lot of.
Donovan
I don't think
McNabb,
so.
Gina, Nick
I don't
Foles,
think
pretty
so.
close.
Because if
Great
he's
playoffs.
already number 1 with 9.
I think Nick Foles had the most with 7.
Yeah,
Nick
that's-
Foles is
that's
a
not
Philly
lot.
legend.
He's
He has a
definitely a legend.
statue.
You really want to go quarterback for quarterbacks right now? You should just.
Oh my god!
Let-
I'm,
Well,
I'm
Aaron
just
Rodgers.
saying
Let the
that's not
history be
that's
history.
not a lot.
Aaron Rodgers.
Starts and ends there.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers has a lot of game-winning drives.
Not with you guys. Doesn't count.
Fitzpatrick had a lot in that
yet.
one
Oh
year.
my God, Hurts clears him.
He clears him.
Of course, he clears
2015 Fitzpatrick by himself.
Yo,
Actually,
Jalen Hurts or Mark Sanchez?
in
I'll
the
be honest with
playoffs.
You tell me.
Nick Foles clears Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You know, but 9 is not a lot though. In franchise history,
Probably not.
it's not a
But
lot.
Jalen Hurts is in
Well,
year
also to be
like
fair, I was
4.
gonna
Yeah.
say it's pretty early into Jalen's career.
No, I
so-
know. I'm not knocking Jalen Hurts. I'm just
I'm
knocking
with you.
like why
The Philly
haven't
franchise?
more quarterbacks had
Couldn't
game-winning
fucking
drives
tell
for
you.
you?
I'm shocked
Maybe-
Donovan does that more.
Maybe let me.
You
let
had
me
Randall
double check. Maybe it
Cunningham.
wasn't
You had
the
Donovan
most.
McNabb.
Let me see. I saw it and I bookmarked it. I had to bookmark it.
Do we have any concerns for the Texans? Like, this is, of course, Cam Akers is your starting running back, so things look a little differently. But you mentioned the numbers they had in weeks 1 and 2, that the run game hasn't been consistent. And the numbers look great for the receivers, right? Stephon Diggs had 10 catches for 90-something yards, but
He played great today.
Basically, all of that was fucking garbage time. For being not all of that, but maybe half of it was garbage time. Nico wasn't really too involved until later in the game as well.
I wonder if he was really banged up coming in and just champed
was.
it.
I mean, we
That's
haven't
true.
even gotten the Stephon Diggs outbreak on the sideline yet. I
He
think
brought
you have
them
to
all.
be
I
worried
mean,
about
they
this
showed him
team.
on the sideline like they must have been down
He's been
2
a
touchdowns
leader
at this
for them.
point.
He's
He
been a
was
leader
there.
so
He was
far.
talking to them like
Damn, I can't
passionate,
find
not
it.
like
We haven't
complaining.
seen the big play. No Tank Dell really getting involved in this offense, at least on a consistent basis. We haven't seen the bomb touchdowns. That's really where they had their bread and butter last season, whether it was Nico, whether it was Tank, whether it was Noah Brown. They really took turns with it. This season, 3 games, we really haven't seen that. It's been kind of CJ being meticulous, picking and choosing. Looked really good against the Colts. Week 2 versus the Bears, he had some standout plays, but overall, I would say that the Bears defense did a great job of limiting them. And then, of course, there's Minnesota, who shut shit down today. So it's one of those. Yeah, we can keep an eye on it. I'm definitely looking leaning towards. I'm a little bit worried because when you're going up against these other teams in the AFC, when you are a so-called contender. And there are some pretty strong defenses in the AFC. The Bills, the Chiefs, still have to respect the Ravens, regardless of how they looked in the last quarter and a half versus Dallas. It's not going to be easy matchups.
Yeah, I'm looking at that
sorry.
defense too. Sorry, Rip. Just looking at that defense because week 1, Anthony Richardson, like, of course, the 50% completion, but they had some huge plays in that. Week 2, you shut down Chicago, but I think we could tell right now Chicago low broken. And then week 3, Sam Darnold goes out there and lights her up. No, like he's great, but that defense right now is not looking like a top 10 unit by any means.
But I'm not looking at the defense funny because I feel like they wasn't given a fair chance in this game. I mean, the Houston Texans could not move the ball. The defense had to continuously get back on the
Turning
field,
it
get
over,
back on the
giving
field,
them
get
good
back
field
on
Week
possession.
1 though, the Houston was able to move the ball, and
but the
defense
Colts
still wasn't
didn't
great.
look offensively. They didn't look good.
But they've looked the best.
They had
looked.
big splash
They had
plays.
spots.
They did.
Like they had the
That's
50
true.
yard
But guys
bombs.
were getting open.
Yeah.
And A.D. Mitchell was getting really open.
was,
And
but
if
I-
AR
like,
did hit
that could
him,
have easily been a third. Like
But
if you had an average
AR
quarterback.
hasn't shown you he can make those. So it's like, what am I supposed to
But
do?
listen,
with
I
that?
think at this point in time, the Texans have shown that there's not anything about them outside of the upside that you believe in, that they are a serious threat right now.
I think
Right
their
now.
offensive
That Will
line is the
Anderson,
biggest
Dean-
problem.
yeah, well,
I think
the
like their offensive line is the
For sure.
biggest problem.
Yes.
Because they're a team that you have Stephon, you have Tank. Tank missed some time last year. You have Nico. You obviously you're gonna have your Russ. You have to integrate new guys into the offense. So it's gonna take some time. But like their offensive line gets no push.
Who
Like,
do you trust more right now, Jets or Texans?
against who? It depends.
Just
The Chiefs.
in general.
That's
too
who they're
early.
going up
It's
against.
too
Too
early.
early?
Can I say it's too early? Because the Jets just had their best performance, and we
I
just
know,
saw
for
Houston
sure.
have their worst.
Well, listen, if you look at the
They
Texans-
lost to the Texans lost to a good ass Vikings team.
They did.
Yes,
The Jets
of
got
course.
played them in a
smoked by
couple
a
weeks.
great ass Niners team. So it's like
You
I
guys
don't
played
think either
extremely
team has
well
looked
against a
amazing
great
so
defense.
far.
Here's the thing about the Texans. A lot about them coming into this year was just built off of hype. Like they're gonna be the next
Upside,
contender because of the upside, and you got Stephon Diggs, you got Neil Hunter, and all that stuff. But I think Bobby Slowick is really struggling integrating everybody into the offense and making them play in a cohesive way. Part of it is more difficult than it should be because the offensive line is not good. The defense outside of Stingley, the secondary is kind of up and down. There's inconsistent play. But looking at their 3 games versus the Colts, it was a shootout, and the Colts very well could have won that game. You look at week 2 versus the Bears, if Caleb has a halfway decent performance,
Agreed.
the Bears could have won that game. And then week 3 against the Vikings, you thought this game would be much closer, and then they got blown out the water. So thus far, the Texans haven't been that impressive. But I think they'll figure it out. I think adding Stephon Diggs into this offense is a huge piece.
They seem
and
too
you have to
talented
figure that
to
out.
not be able to figure it
I'm with you.
I think the best division in football right now is the NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the Packers beating the Titans on the road 30-14. Will Levis has 8 turnovers in 3 games, the most in the NFL, and that's something we could hit on. But the thing
sucks.
the thing I really want to talk about the most is just Matt LaFleur and the job he's doing coaching.
He's a goat.
The way that they beat the Colts, they didn't make Malik Willis do anything. The way he called the game, it was a bunch of running plays, it was sweep plays, it was designs, it was quarterback read options with
Protecting
Malik
him,
Willis.
yeah.
Yes, protecting him, not putting the ball in harm's way. Maybe there was 1 or 2 throws that Matt LaFleur designed to, be more aggressive than usual. And in doing that, I thought, convincingly beat the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense dominated the Colts offense. It had us wondering about Anthony Richardson and how good or bad he is, right? And then going into Tennessee, doing what they did to Tennessee's defense, but also the Packers defense stopping the Titans run game, locking down on defense. Xavier McKinney, he might be one of the best offseason signings of the offseason because he had an interception against Jalen Hurts. Week 2, he has another one. Week 3, he has another one. He has 3 interceptions in 3 games, and this was a Packers defense that could not take the ball away. Last year, they ranked 31st in turnovers. What Matt LaFleur has been able to do with Malik Willis, a quarterback that everybody thought was dead in the water, and it starts with Tennessee. He was terrible. Nobody thought he was any good, and he's getting this level of play, and in this game, Matt LaFleur really opened up the playbook, and Malik Willis was making some throws, man. And the talent that
Shit
we
was pissing me
saw
off.
coming out of college, the talent that everybody was enamored with Malik Willis and the upside, this was the game that all of those things came together.
You think that's all more LaFleur though than actually
Of course.
him?
Do you think Sam Darnold is great because of Sam Darnold or because of situation?
But I feel like Sam showed even before. He showed much more than what Malik showed.
So, yeah,
Agreed.
he definitely flashed more.
But you know what it is also, and I really want
Are
to
you
point it
asking
out.
me? Sorry, Joe. Are you asking me if it's more Malik or more LaFleur?
More LaFleur or Malik.
It's more LaFleur.
Okay.
It is.
But I'm not gonna lie. In this game, there was 2 at least 3rd and 15s, 3rd and 18s that Malik Willis on in-breaking routes just ripped it right on target.
So I think
Christian
Miami
Watson
should
had a
call.
couple big plays. Huh?
You think Miami should call?
About Malik?
Skyler sucks. Yeah.
No. I think Miami should call about Ryan Tannehill.
They should call about anybody.
It speaks about how
Did Skyler
Tennessee.
come back in that game?
He didn't. He came back for a play and then he got hurt again and then
No,
Boyle
old
ended.
guy.
I only
Malik's
say
young.
Tannehill should come and take over because you look at what happened with Tennessee, and Malik is a great example of that for what he's doing over here in Green Bay. But that situation in Tennessee was so abysmal. There was no real X weapon to throw to. The offensive line was horrendous. The play calling was very vanilla. Here you go, Derrick Henry. Oh, and if we're going to pass, who am I passing to? Chike
Treylon Burks.
Treylon
Wide receiver
Burks.
1.
Nikhil.
Yeah, Westbrook Akina.
Westbrook Akina, thank you. There really wasn't much to really be excited about if you were the quarterback of the team. Malik Willis had to learn that the hard way, and even still, he was very raw coming in. Ryan Tannehill was extremely good in that situation when it was AJ, when they had a respectable offensive line, and obviously a prime Derrick Henry. You go, and if you're Miami, Ryan Tannehill is worth a shot. Because right now, Skylar Thompson's simply not good enough. I know we're not talking about Miami, but not good enough. Tim Boyle had some moments. Didn't hate what I saw, but even still, there was no life in this offense for Miami. Without Tua, there's nothing to be excited about. Ryan Tannehill would at least make it serviceable compared to what we saw from the backup play for Miami. But to stay on conversation with Green Bay and Tennessee, Malik Willis was awesome. again, doing a job, but also taking it up a notch, going out there and dominating on the defensive side of the ball. Will Levis doesn't deserve to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. It's true. And Mason Rudolph, it's time. I'm ready to see what he's made of in Tennessee. It's just too many boneheaded decisions. Also, the pocket presence is not very good either. There's just a lot of things that are worrying me when it comes to this Tennessee team as a whole. And then the defense that we were very high on, talking about Tennessee, the fact that Green Bay was doing whatever they wanted, of course, you're getting solid field possession too on top of it with the turnovers that you were getting from Tennessee. But going out there and limiting Tony Pollard, that moved me because that was the biggest question mark coming in, talking about their run game. Saquon went crazy. JT went crazy on them. Tony Pollard had been playing pretty high level considering the level of running back that he is, and he got shut down today. So an amazing performance from Green Bay. It leaves you extremely optimistic about the Packers for when Jordan Love comes back. How are we looking at Jaden Reed the way that we were looking at him after week 1? Now we can get back to really getting hype about Christian Watson, and Dontavian Wicks comes back into the picture with a very solid run game. Wilson going ahead and having his first touchdown as a player in the National Football League. That was great to see. This Packers team is fun. And this defense is going to play at this level too. It can get really exciting if you're a Packers fan.
0-1 with Jordan Love, 2-0 with Malik. Interesting.
Something to think about.
Something to think about. That's it. Something to think about.
Keep that same energy, dose. Now, Giants and Browns. I just want to read Malik Willis' stat line. I don't know if you guys saw it before I get into it.
It's like a Derek Carr-esque.
Malik Willis, 13 for 19, 202 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 6 carries, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. So he had 275 total yards and 2 touchdowns on the day. Malik Willis was exceptional.
Good for him.
He played amazing.
Giants and Browns. Giants win 21-15. Now,
Hate to say it, gentlemen.
You're back.
We're back.
That's good because this was one of those performances that you can be back for. I think first things first, Malik Neighbors is an absolute superstar.
Yes.
We knew that. This offense is ran through Malik Neighbors. Devin Singletary also is really making his presence known on the offense. He's got to hold on to the ball,
though. He's wearing these fumbles.
But he's playing really
Very well.
He's playing really well. Malik saved Daniel Jones from a potential interception, and that's just like Malik's game right now.
On the left sideline, yeah.
Malik is he's just awesome.
That
was OD.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I want to say this. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be probably one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Cook.
They cannot rely on their offense.
Nope.
The Browns defense gave their offense like 3 to 4 chances at the end of the game to win it.
Yep.
And you look at the scoring summary, it says turnover on downs, turnover on downs, turnover on downs, fumble. That's how it looked. And watching it, Deshaun Watson is just a broken player. Like coming from week 1, having a terrible performance, then week 2, maybe bouncing back a little bit. Then this performance, I mean, I don't even know how Browns fans feel with, knowing the fact that their franchise is paying this guy this much money and he cannot do anything offensively.
They do because they have no choice. However, shout out to John Fanta, correct?
Shout out to Fanta.
That
video was hilarious.
He's pissed off. He wants nothing to do with this current Browns situation, but he's a diehard Browns fan. Now, I want the record to be straight. I'm not here wearing a Browns jersey.
Yeah, they asking about that. Explain that. That's Flash.
It's Josh
Fucking
Gordon
Flash.
for y'all that y'all claim that
Fucking
y'all know
legend.
ball.
Some you 17-year-olds, that's Flash Gordon, man.
Go ahead and go on YouTube. Go ahead and look up that special season from Josh Gordon and have yourself a ball.
101.
1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns. I mean, and then they suspended him for enjoying a little bit of...
He just smoked weed.
Listen, I'm all for it.
However,
I wish we
regardless,
did
for the casuals, Josh Gordon, look him up, do your homework. This Browns team is funny.
Hilarious.
It's funny. This offense is abysmal. 8 sacks taken from this Giants defensive line. We finally saw Brian Burns really look like the player that they signed him for. Sexy Dexy is still one of the best defensive players in football.
What about Kayvon?
TBD. We can still be a little bit back in on the Giants, but also have a little bit of realization. KT had a good year last year. Statistically, so far to start this year, he's been horrendous. But looking at this offense for the New York Giants, why am I optimistic? I say that with the idea that they look 30 times better this week than they did against the Commanders. They just look more confident. They look like they trusted each other a little bit more. And even in situations where you mentioned Daniel Jones getting bailed out by Malik, I look at Wan'Dale on the other side and him kind of selling Daniel Jones a couple times. Even Malik still needs to have a little bit more ball security. But when you're seeing one of the most targets that a rookie's ever seen this early into their career, I think Puka Nacua, I'm blanking on the one other rookie, and then it's Malik Neighbors for most targets seen within 3 weeks of an NFL career. You're bound to drop a couple of balls, but regardless, they have a player that is explosive. Malik Neighbors is one of the most exciting players already. He's going to be in conversations that are going to become uncomfortable for individuals. He's already entering conversations that I'm already looking at him. He's a top 20 wide receiver. Oh, yeah. I can really get into that conversation where I can argue he may be a top 15 receiver. He can do so much with the ball in his hands. He is an explosive guy where he can make plays over the top like we've seen today. He can get into the end zone. You can go and you can run plays out of the backfield for him. You want the ball in his hands. This is the first time the Giants have had a player like that at the wide receiver position since Odell Beckham Jr. And honestly, to go from Odell Beckham Jr. to the level that they had for years and years after that truly is sad and disgusting that Giants fans have had to wait this long for a premier talent like this at the wide receiver position. But now you get to enjoy it. And he's going to be here hopefully for some years to come. But Daniel Jones was pretty damn good today. And I'll leave it at that. I won't exaggerate it because I don't want to get too hyped.
Don't get sucked into it.
I won't. But against the Cleveland Browns defense, who obviously still get a great amount of pressure. I want to credit this offensive line from the New York Giants. They've been doing a pretty decent job as well. But Daniel Jones making some really strong throws, really nice plays, being a really good playmaker. One thing I want to say, got to be a little bit more safe. I like that he's being a little bit more reckless than we've seen, especially in his 15 passing yards.
Breakout season.
Exactly. 22 touchdowns total, but 15 passing touchdowns. He's being a little bit more
fucking bad.
He's being a little bit more reckless. And that's when you go and I feel like you're trusting not just your arm, but you're trusting your weapons around you. Something that we really haven't seen from Daniel. So it's something that I'm monitoring. And I'm excited. I'm trying to limit my excitement. But I'm going to still stay off the bandwagon in the interest of the New York Giants because whatever I touch burns. So out of love for New York Giants fans, I'm going to stay away.
I got two questions for you. One is kind of
Me
fan
or him?
All you guys.
Okay.
One is fan fiction. The other one is an actual kind of would you rather, but just worded a different way.
Naked.
No.
That is fan fiction.
This is fan fiction with the Giants.
Giants players naked.
What does Daniel Jones have? Is there anything Daniel Jones can do at this point to earn another 1 or 2 seasons as the Giants starting quarterback? Let's say he wins MVP.
He wins MVP. He can do whatever he wants.
Are you bringing him back or no?
Yeah, no, he can. If he, that's why I was laughing because when Drew was like, "I like that he's being more aggressive, brother." This might be a last year.
That's
sling
why.
that
Fuck
shit.
it. Yes.
Fuck it. Go out there, sling the ball, throw whatever.
I'm
you
getting
gotta throw.
giddy. I gotta relax.
He would. He
has
needs to
to
go
win
to an
MVP.
NFC Championship game.
I don't think there's any.
If they win a
he would.
playoff, one playoff game,
No,
he's
if
still
he wins,
gone.
he won a
if he
playoff
wins
game 2
MVP,
years
he's locked
ago.
in.
I don't think there's any realistic scenario that Daniel Jones is the Giants quarterback, even with him
If he
playing
wins
well.
MVP, he's
and
a
I want to say
legend.
that I think Daniel Jones is playing good football. I don't think he's playing terrible. I don't think he's playing like one of the worst quarterbacks in football. I think he's playing all right.
Because you and I spoke about it, and honestly, now that we have a little bit more knowledge on how the season's going, I look at that game versus the Vikings completely different now. And it was the game that really moved me to say, fuck Daniel Jones, fuck the Giants. Now I'm really sitting and think, I overreacted strongly. This Minnesota Vikings defense has now gone up against the Giants, who, again, at the time, no one was moved by their performance, but against Brock Purdy and CJ Stroud and straight embarrassed all three. You go against the Commanders, I would have liked a little bit better performance out of you, especially because I look at the Commanders as the worst secondary in football. But to go up against the Cleveland Browns, one of the more respected defenses in the league, one of the better defensive lines in the league, and you go out there and you hoop and you're efficient and you're pushing the ball downfield and you're scoring touchdowns, that's something to be excited about.
I mean, how bad are the Jaguars? To lose to this Browns team, like
Jaguars
geez,
are
bro.
bad though.
Jaguars are a bad team.
They're not good.
I mean, the Browns, damn, bro. Like, because after week 1, going up against Dallas, I think we all like did a little side eye. But it's like, listen, it's Dallas. They're a solid team. We're not going to overreact. Week 2, it was an ugly W, but it was like, all right, you get back on the win column. This was a game that should have been a layup. This was a game we all picked Cleveland. The world was picking Cleveland. You're, a touchdown plus favorite in this game. You're at home. There's no reason why you should lose this game to the Giants, who are coming off back-to-back losses. Vikings, who were great, and the Commanders team, where you don't even let up a touchdown, you still manage to lose the game. Inexcusable way to lose this game. Defensively, I think they're still great, right? The fact that they let up 22, 25 points, whatever it was today, I think Riv or Joel, maybe you mentioned it. It's a little skewed because this team the offense completely fails them time in and time out. Deshaun Watson, we mentioned how broken of a quarterback he is, and we knew how big of a loss Nick Chubb was, but this is a team that's like a bottom 5 rushing unit in the league when you look at success rate. Jerome Ford, they were giving Deontay Foreman some more looks in week 2, not as much in week 3. They have no way to generate offense because Deshaun Watson is rarely doing anything positive for them, and you can't hand the ball off because Jerome Ford and Deontay Foreman, we're talking about a bottom 5, just pure talent running back duo in the NFL right now. So if it's difficult to gain first downs, you're just going to continue to put your defense in tougher and tougher situations. They have to be on the field longer. The pass rush isn't as solid. And then when teams get up on you, you can't even play defense how you want to because now all of a sudden they're able to run the ball. And Myles Garrett can't do what what he does best, I should say. So it actually is crazy that you can have a head coach we love, multiple time coach of the year.
We love him.
Amari Cooper had a breakout game. Jerry Jeudy was looking decent the first couple of weeks. And an elite defense. But Deshaun Watson is so bad that it ruins everything. Deshaun Watson, EPA-wise, is down there with Bryce Young, with Zach Wilson. It is disgusting how terrible he is at football right now. And Cleveland, you're 1-2. The season's not over. Jacoby Brissett should start. Jacoby Brissett. Jameis Winston should start week 4. It's done. It's over. You don't need to see anything more from Deshaun Watson. He is done as a Cleveland Brown. Jameis Winston, if you want any chance of making a wild card, being a contender, being competitive, he has to start because we saw last season when Joe Flacco took the field, you were able to be one of the grittiest, most difficult teams to go up against. Deshaun Watson plays, all of a sudden you're 1-2 with losses to the fucking New York Giants all of a sudden, right?
Hey.
I mean, I'm done with Deshaun.
Should be 2-1.
Deshaun Watson should not be playing quarterback in the NFL, starter or backup. He is that bad.
8 sacks. Like some of them are on him.
Like 4 of them was his fault.
I'm not going to disagree, but this offensive line's pretty bad right now.
But he's not good.
I agree.
He's like really
I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's played
really
terrible.
Fucking bad.
But this offensive line's objectively not good right now.
Him or Dylan Raiola?
I'm going to take Deshaun.
Him or Cam Ward?
Jameis Winston played
Cam.
better.
Arch
no doubt in my mind.
Arch. Come on. He's cool.
You don't think about Dylan?
I'm hating him.
He's bad.
Sorry,
He's
it's
pretty-
the fact that he likes Mahomes.
Lagway or
Say that?
Lagway or Deshaun?
Damn, Deshaun's in the mud.
Sucks, bro.
I hate that.
He's so
Hate that. I mean, I
goodness.
guess I don't. It's
unfortunate, but it's life.
Correct.
It's karma. That's all I'm gonna say.
It might be.
It is.
How many wide receivers are you taking Malik Neighbors over? I got some list of names right here. Rasheed Rice.
I'm taking Malik.
I'll take Malik.
I'll take Malik. But fuck me.
Wait.
Pause.
We can.
Malik, fuck me.
Oh,
pause
wait.
Pause in the conversation.
What?
Rasheed Rice is unbelievably
What did
great.
you say
He
the other
said
day?
Malik.
Hey, it got edited out, so who knows?
Oh my god.
Oh. He just said Malik fucked me. And
No,
then
I didn't
paused.
say that. I said, fuck me. Pause.
Comma.
Exactly.
Or period, maybe.
Hyphen. Rasheed Rice is incredible.
But Malik, fuck me.
Oof, that man he's a
Wow.
hooper. He balls.
George Pickens.
I am taking Malik
Malik.
Neighbors.
George Pickens is the most underrated receiver in the league. I'll take Malik, though.
I'm taking George Pickens.
I respect it.
Yeah. Jalen Waddle.
Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors.
I'll be honest, there's not many
Malik.
names you're going to tell me I'm
Malik.
not going to take.
Devontae Smith.
Malik Neighbors. And
Malik
that
Neighbors.
hurts me.
Smitty's been playing well this year, too.
This
Amazing.
isn't even some overreaction. Like Malik Neighbors, the numbers aside,
He's
his
just a
numbers are
bigger
crazy.
Smitty.
He's explosive. He has great hands. He can run any route. Like Devonta Smith could do some of that,
just
but
not the
Malik
same
Neighbors
size.
is an elite level
He's
athlete on
6 feet
top
tall.
of it.
He's 6
Chris
feet tall.
Olave.
Malik
Malik
Neighbors.
Neighbors.
Devontae can do everything. He's just
Yeah,
skinny.
but he's just not as good of an
And
athlete
Malik
as Malik
can
is.
also do everything.
That's why I said I'm taking Malik.
Yeah.
I'm taking
Marvin
Malik
Harrison
over.
Jr.
Malik.
Toss up.
TBD.
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 I'm staying there.
TBD.
Garrett Wilson.
Malik.
I'm sticking with G-Dub. That's just straight Jets bias.
I'm going to wait because I've been
Well, he's
waiting
nice.
on Garrett.
He's nice as fuck.
I've been
so.
waiting on Garrett. This is supposed to be it, and I've been waiting.
You heard what Aaron said, though.
I didn't.
Once 5 and I get on the same
OD,
page, it's
no,
gonna
we
be
know.
special.
We know.
They're not on the same page
They're
right
not.
now. There's a couple like back shoulders that they're not communicating well with.
Malik Neighbors.
I find myself leaning Malik.
I want to be mad.
You're going to be better than Tyreek.
This year,
Watch.
G-Dub, I mean,
Tyreek is no quarterback.
Garrett Wilson's
Garrett
gonna go
did
He just
crazy.
went
last
back to back
year.
1700. Stop it. It's over.
What did he do with Skylar
I think you
Thompson?
said 1,700 this year.
No, he
did you
went
not?
back to back 17.
No, I'm saying I think you thought G-Dub is going to get like 16.
With Aaron Rodgers.
Well, he's here with them.
I'm
It's
taking
like,
Malik.
Yeah, just wait and see
What's he
what's
at,
gonna
like,
happen.
180 right now?
Just wait and see what's gonna happen.
It's time
We have just
He needs
seen.
to average
We are
120
seeing
going
right now
forward.
what Tyreek Hill's doing with Skylar Thompson. Whenever he starts, Tyreek Hill averages like 40 yards per
So he
game.
has one game over 50 yards.
You
Skyler.
did
Skylar
also,
Thompson might be better than Zach Wilson.
you did also mention Marvin.
You're right.
Marvin
They're both
had
pretty
himself a respectable ball game today.
did.
Him
He
and
played
Kyler.
well.
Kyler just simply didn't have it today.
Oh,
Okay, now the Bears
Start
and
of the week,
Colts.
it's right there.
The Colts beat the Bears 21-16. Caleb Williams 363 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2
Locked.
interceptions. I tweeted out that this is going to be his best game, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. I was not projecting the 2 interceptions. This game kind of gave me something like
Good, the bad,
it
the
made
ugly.
me learn more about Anthony Richardson and Caleb Williams. Anthony Richardson looked really bad. These are 2 back-to-back terrible games from him, and he needs to be better. And it's good that the Colts were able to win in a game where he struggled in, but it's really off the back of Jonathan Taylor, who should have got the ball more last week and this week. He rewarded them. He had 2 touchdowns. Caleb Williams, his decision-making in moments is very, very bad. Is very, very bad. 2 interceptions. He could have maybe thrown 2 more. He put the ball in harm's way, but this was the best game that he's had thus far. He was being ultra aggressive. I still think the Bears have major issues, and they were the most overrated team coming into the season. The offensive line is terrible, and Shane Waldron is terrible. Shane Waldron called 4 straight running plays in the red zone. I made a
shit had me
TikTok about it.
crying.
First and goal, you run it. I don't really care. Second and goal, you run it. I don't really care. Why are we going with a similar play call on 3rd and goal? And then 4th and goal, you run a speed option. I just don't understand. Shane Waldron, his first year with Geno was really good. Then for some reason, he kind of abandoned all the things that made him a really good play caller. And then that second year with Geno, looking back in hindsight, the stats that Geno had with him as coordinator and dealing with that offensive line, that's why I pushed back on the Geno regressed, because I look at the situation and I'm like, what Caleb is dealing with isn't too far off what Geno was dealing with, and Geno was still thriving in that situation. So that's just the problem with the Bears, and losing this game, it really hurts because they had opportunities to win it.
For sure. And I still look at play calling as one of the primary issues. The offensive line is one of the primary issues. I can still look at Caleb Williams and understand he can have a little bit more touch on his passes.
Did we what? Lock the picks?
No, bro. Tony Pollard
messed
killed
it
us.
up.
Oh, yeah, he had,
You locked though. DJ Moore has 77
You're him.
yards.
You're him.
He had to know. Damn, Tony killed
I gotta wait till tomorrow.
It's
to
on
see
me
if mine
because
does.
if that doesn't hit, I'll be
what was yours
honest, it's
again?
time for me to look inside
So
and see
Burrow
what's wrong
or
with me.
Chase?
What was yours again?
Brian Robinson, 52.5 rushing yards.
God damn it, Drew.
Tony Pollard was honestly one of my favorite plays this week. I made him my start of the week in fantasy.
Oh, you were locked
I
in.
was really
I
locked on
started
Tony.
Pollard. Yeah, he
But
did
here's the
nothing.
thing that I don't get about this game: the Bears weren't able to run the ball.
No, bro, I just looked. Swift, 13 carries, 20 yards.
No, Swift
Swift
is
isn't good.
not good.
He's done.
He's not
He's
good.
done.
Also, I looked at the connection early on. Rome ended up having a really great game. One of the interceptions I'll put on Caleb. That one that he had, that Rome, it hits off his chest, bounce in the air. That's where I'm looking at Caleb. I'm looking at Rome, and let's make a play.
You're right about the touch, though.
Yo,
Caleb
yeah.
overthrows balls,
He
and
does.
it's just nowhere near the
He
receiver.
had multiple. One to Rome, I
Rome,
think, on the
exactly.
left sideline, right? Like going into
Exactly.
the end zone. That was
Caleb
like
has just
15
been-
yards past him.
Which is why I don't want to be critical. I'm trying not to be too critical of Rome, because in moments like that, Rome's getting open on a relatively consistent basis, and we saw that down the stretch of the game. But we kind of saw Caleb start to put it together in that second half. There was a moment in time in that fourth quarter where everything started to click for the passing offense. And then you get that chance to go and take the lead, or I think not to take the lead, but to tie the ball game, if I'm not mistaken, and you go and you fumble. That's a back-breaking type thing that obviously lose you a
I
game.
think Caleb is secretly getting it together. I know his turnovers are loud. I know his boneheaded plays are loud. I know sometimes he does overthrow his receiver. But I think, as you see, the way he makes adjustments at the line of scrimmage, as you could see, the way he adjusts plays, I think he is slowly, week to week, getting better at things, just getting better at being more comfortable. It's just now you have to limit you still hold on the ball too long. You still try to play superhero. You're still making these bad decisions. But nonetheless, it's hard for me to say it's on the receivers because I do really feel like it's really Caleb. He's just sometimes making bad plays. But I think he's slowly getting together. He'll be fine.
I think I feel like after week 2, the Texans game, people were very quick to turn on Caleb. I think naturally when you're number 1 overall pick, you have the hype Caleb does. People just want to be contrarian and they want to be like, he's going to suck, he's going to be terrible. So when he struggles the first couple of weeks, I'm not shocked.
told you so.
I'm not shocked to see
They also
it.
hate his persona.
They do, which like the painting your
People
nails,
have an
all of that
insecurity
stuff.
about
I don't,
themselves.
whatever. Like
The
Caleb, do
CJ
what you gotta
Stroud
do.
clip moment.
Oh yeah. Well, CJ was kind of talking like CJ's like I wasn't big bro on him, but like
Big fake is big
he
bro,
kind of
like,
fake is.
Yeah,
but
and
but
CJ's
also
look like shit since.
They're
CJ
the
goes out there and
same age.
They played one game after.
Sorry.
But CJ also has a rookie year of being like, I just went out there and I'm that fucking dude. Let me just pass this along. But I think with Caleb, it's tough because we're not doing a 180 on the Bears situation, right? But coming into the season, we all said this is the best situation a number 1 pick has ever been in. And as it stands, in a wide receiver room, yes, right? To be fair, Keenan Allen's been hurt,
He has.
but Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, that's one of the better wide receiver duos in the NFL, period, and take all of the rookie stuff out of it. But when we're 3 weeks into the season now, I think it's fair to adjust what the situation actually is.
Especially
you
the
have
O-line.
you have no run game. DeAndre Swift, he was the first running back out there and paid. Aaron Jones, Saquon, all of these dudes, Josh Jacobs, were out there. The Bears says, we want DeAndre Swift.
So stupid.
Swing and a miss. This offensive line last year was like around a league average unit. Fields made it look worse. This line has been terrible, especially that Texans game.
sure.
And Shane Waldron, coming over from Seattle, I always thought, I don't think Shane Waldron is a genius offense coordinator by any means. But I did not think he was going to be a disaster. Shane Waldron has been a disaster.
He has.
So now, 3 weeks into the situation, we look at the Bears' offensive situation. Your running backs are non-existent. Your offensive line is terrible, and your play caller is terrible. This is not making excuses for Caleb Williams. This is what it is. You have some elite guys on the outside who can win, but if you're expecting a rookie quarterback to come in and just with Rome and DJ Moore go out there and compete for a wild card spot, it's not going to happen. This offensive situation is not as good as we thought it was.
And it's tough because the defense has really been stepping up.
Yeah.
It really has played well in these 3 games. So the offense, which was supposed to be the most exciting part of this team, needs to figure it out.
I think it's perfectly said, though. This is not a good situation.
No.
And anybody that's watching the Bears knows that it's not a good situation.
It's just It's
It's everything. Like they can't run the ball. They can't protect Caleb. And Keenan Allen's hurt right now. They don't have a good play caller. And I'm not high on DJ Moore, man.
Oh, he had a good game today.
It was primarily the big catch that he had that's made his stat line a lot more intriguing.
It's DJ Moore's body language for me. It's his body language and how he acts to me, especially versus the Texans. I thought that he was really lazy when he ran his routes, his releases. He was really sloppy. When Caleb overthrew him a little bit, you would see the emotion on his face, like, oh my God. Like, and that creates a whole narrative of like, you see, DJ Moore wanted Justin Fields. He didn't want Caleb. And that he is feeding into that.
But I feel like
and
we
that's
didn't
what
see
I
this
don't
much
like.
last year. Unless I'm just forgetting, I feel like DJ Moore didn't have as many of these situations that we've seen early on.
He never really has. This is probably like the first time you've.
But it's also because we're looking at him with a pretty big microscope now because
The breakout
a lot
year.
more exciting news are going, or a lot more exciting times are here with the Chicago Bears. So we're watching more, we're paying attention more, and this is unfortunate what we're seeing.
Yeah. Caleb has the best connection with Rome.
Easy.
That's going to be the
I
main
also
so
think
damn
Keenan, when he gets back, is going to be super beneficial to Caleb.
He's basically like you always say safety net tight ends for rookies.
Correct.
He's basically the safety
He's
net
always
tight
going to
ends.
get open.
Yes.
It's going to be in that
short
5 to
stuff.
10.
Yep.
Exactly.
the Broncos and the Bucs. The Broncos
Here we
won
go.
26-7.
Talk to me.
This the upset of the
Why
week,
did y'all
I
wanna
think.
win
One
it?
of the upsets of the week.
Well, I swear on my mother's life, I'm talking to Charles, and I said, I hope to God the Bucs find a way to win this game. And if I sound like a fake Bronco fan, you don't know what being a Bronco fan is. We're not a great team right now, but I'll take a great win against a really gritty, really strong Buccaneers team, especially on the road. Bo Nix.
Look good.
This was what we wanted
Looked very
and
well.
expected. What did we want from Bo Nix? Be a quick decision maker, accurate, and don't turn the
How
ball
about
over.
those legs?
Mother
Did he
of
lead
God.
the league in team in rushing? Lead the
No, not this game. Not
Okay.
this game. He had 40 yards.
I'll
if
be
I'm not
honest,
mistaken.
to go out there and beat the Lions and then lay a dud like this against the
baddie.
Broncos is not.
That's
ideal.
No, I
Javonte
think the
Stokes,
Bucks are kind of fake. I'll be honest.
They were better than the Eagles a couple days ago.
Well, this is a power ranking off of week 2.
Brother, this shit really changes
I said power ranking off week 2. When Riv asked me, I said, do you want to after week 2 or you want to just umbrella contenders? And I gave him my contenders list. Now, Bo Nix had his best game.
I was about to say we better just gloss over.
We should, but
the Broncos.
I mean,
We
you
just
can talk
we just
about
have 12
Bo Nix.
games to go through.
All I have to
games.
say about the Broncos is that the defense has been playing really well to begin the season.
And if you were surprised about that, you didn't pay attention last season.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple to me.
we got 6 more games left, so we can
Let's
spend
go.
some time
That's
on
fine
this.
with me.
If you want to talk about Bo Nix, we can talk about him.
We'll talk about it. I'll talk about it a little bit more when we do our regular podcast. But if you want to watch a guy be meticulous in his decision making, go watch the Broncos highlights.
25,
Sean Payne
36,
said
200
they
yards.
got something.
Sun gets a
We'll
nice
see.
70.
Somebody gave us $50 for this.
No, we're gonna read super chats.
Yeah, we'll read some super chats right now. So RH3
funny.
goes the Rams, baby, with 3 exclamation points. Very
Family.
excited about the win. And
Save
John,
their season with 1 win.
John right now is managing super chat, so shout out to John.
Shout out to John.
CRB goes, how are you going to lie your way around to Riv about the Eagles? Riv, I got your back. And then he sent another super chat and he said, is it possible that the Vikings could be a representation for the NFC? If so, can Sam Darnold lead them to that? Secondly, 3 teams that could trade for Bryce Young. Love your show.
Apparently, the Panthers turned down 4 trade offers this past week.
So they still want him.
Or someone's like, I'll give you a 6th-round pick. They're like, no.
Have you seen a player lose more value than we did today? Bryce Young
Bryce.
lost hella value after today's
No,
game.
I wouldn't trade a 7th round pick for Bryce Young.
My God.
Could not even conditional.
No, it's that. I mean, we'll talk about the Panthers because we're going to talk about that game. But looking at what CRB said,
Can the Vikings represent the NFC?
I think they are a dark horse
As of right
contender.
now, they're definitely dark horse.
They're
They
a
are.
dark horse contender.
It's just
And
do you trust
Sam in playoff time.
Do you just trust Sam in that big moment NFC wild card round against the Lions?
Did you
whoever
ever
it might
expect
be?
Nick Foles to go out there and cook?
Nope.
Anything
not at
can
all.
happen.
And
It's a
he
football league.
wanted us to name 3 teams that could trade for Bryce Young. But the only team really that comes to my mind is like the Dolphins that can actually have a system that he can fit into.
I like the
That's it.
Rams too, like as a backup to Stafford / maybe
Raiders?
successor in a year.
Lions?
Lions, yeah. Hendon Hooker though, do they still have faith in him?
Guys,
I'd go rather Hendon Hooker.
Trying.
you can't analyze what you haven't seen, so I get it.
He also sent 2 more super chats.
Legend.
A prom
sure.
OBJ
God.
and neighbors with Daniel Jones at quarterback and Saquon in the backfield.
Oh my God.
Can this be a playoff team?
Man,
Well, it was a
that's-
playoff team.
that's
Without
one of the
Daniel-
most explosive
What did we talk
offenses
about
of all
upstairs?
time.
I would kill to see Saquon in this offense.
Yeah.
I would kill for it.
Too bad.
And then
I hope you're treating him well, so I'm happy for you.
And then he went, Joel,
love that.
how would you feel if Brian Flores was the Jets head coach next season?
Ooh.
I would love it.
That'd be-
I like
that'd
Brian
be
Flores,
fire.
even though I really kind of do want to
Offense.
have an offensive coach.
Yeah,
I've had too many defense coaches. Rex Ryan, Todd
Gave
Bowles,
you the best years of your life.
Adam Gase was the first offensive coach.
Exactly.
Swing and a miss.
But that wasn't like a proven thing. I felt very uneasy about that. And then
Payne Manning
Robert
did that for
Saleh.
you.
Yeah, no, Payne Manning is a
Screwed you.
dickhead for
I'm
that.
sorry.
He put in the
doing
good
to
word
them,
for
man?
him. Now, B Swag goes, as a Cowboys fan, I'd say it's safe to say take over. I'd say it's safe to take the over on every opposing running back. Fire Jerry Jones.
I mean, it's just
Oh, we'll talk about
it's
them,
another
though.
Cowboys year.
We'll talk
Just
about
another
it.
Cowboys
That
year.
was just save it. We'll-
Jay Wash goes, Justin Fields letting the Bears know they should have never let him go for Caleb.
Okay, move
My
on.
Steelers
Thanks
are
for the donation.
AFC
Appreciate it.
contenders and are about to win the division.
Steelers fans, I mean, you're 3-0. You should feel great. They're loving
Are we
Justin
moved
Fields
by
right
a
now.
Chargers win?
It's a good win. Don't get me wrong.
With the banged up Herbert?
I mean, I guess. But even when
hating.
Herbert was healthy, he was like,
I'm hating.
He said it.
I've always said that the defense is the best in the league. The offense is what hasn't moved me. No, I was never fooled by the Chargers defense.
I think it was just
Chargers
Fields'
is
best
solid
game.
though.
because they played against who? The Panthers and the Raiders.
No, they had the talent.
And they have talent,
Be
fair.
solid. I mean, the Steelers didn't have a bad offensive game.
But like
today.
I can see the Chargers where right now before this game they were one in
Defense, like rush
and defense exactly in rush and pass.
Well, I don't think they're elite.
like
but
I'll
they're
find
good.
them falling in that 15 to 18 by the season's end.
That's fair.
Now, Andre Ali sent the $50 donation.
Go.
And he
Shout out.
said, shout out, pick a side. Also, W for Riv for putting baddies on the TL.
You do put baddies on
Oh,
the
I
TL.
saw someone said GM.
Nah, he's wild for that. She didn't answer you. That was cold.
Didn't. I'm
That
always
was
there
cold.
shooting. I'm a shooter. I'm a forever shoot.
Isaiah
Follow me, so I
Pats
don't know why she didn't
goes, shout out to Brock Purdy. He played his ass off. He got trolled tremendously. Defense is trash as hell. I think we'll be fine when everyone is healthy and Brandon Ayuk gets back in football shape.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Niners a
pissed
little
me
bit
the
too.
fuck off today.
And now these last 2 super chats, and then we'll see if we get more later. Santos goes, y'all been on a heater with the content. Shout out Joel with the 2 shows. Shout out to Fantasy Reaction with the consistent videos. And shout out to Red. Never mind.
What'd he say? What did Santos say?
Did you record?
No.
October.
No, because remember I told you what happened?
No.
No, I told him what happened.
Oh.
My whole bathroom is messed up right now, so I didn't record.
There's always something.
No,
Your
it's-
bathroom?
You told me the washer leaked, but it was
Yeah.
clean water and you cleaned it up.
no, but the bathroom's still messed up. Like I haven't been able
There's
to
always
shower in my
something.
bathroom.
Okay.
Oh, so you stink?
No, I have my grandma's. We have 2 bathrooms.
Dubs.
So what does your bathroom have to do with you not being able to record?
That's a great
What
question.
do you mean?
No.
Why
good question.
can't you record because of your bathroom?
Just because.
Too much.
Just
too
say
much
you
on your
don't want to
plate.
record, man.
Too much
No,
on your plate.
I literally am recording this week. I just don't have.
He
anything
goes
to record.
home every day and sits in the bathroom and thinks, "How the fuck am I gonna fix this?" I can't record with the
This
cat.
can't be my studio.
Well, yesterday I didn't have my computer, so that
It was in my car today.
yeah, it didn't have my computer.
But guess what? Me and Rib live in the same apartment. He could have texted
how
me,
the
been
fuck
like,
am I supposed to
"Yo."
know you're in the building?
In the weekends, I'm there 99% of the time.
Cat. But nonetheless, I'm recording this week, so
I believe it when I see it.
Okay, now
I
this.
believe in
there's
you.
nothing to talk
I
about.
believe in you.
What does it talk about?
Whatever you want to talk
What if I don't
about.
want to talk about basketball right now? I'm actually very
Losing
locked in
me.
on NFL.
You have been very loud.
Very locked in on NFL.
But I'm just saying, like Tuesday, no football. Wednesday, no. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
Tuesday we record.
True. Nah, that's a fact.
Tuesday we record.
The only day
Wednesday
we don't record is really
Monday.
Thursday, Saturday.
Monday.
Wednesday.
Monday.
I could record
Wednesday we
Monday.
do record pickups.
Wednesday
Yeah,
we do the
Monday,
pickups.
Thursday, Saturday.
Monday, the Bills are playing. You know I gotta.
6 p.m. No way you can record.
6 p.m. I don't get out of work till like 6:30.
Okay.
Get home by 7. Game starts at 8:20.
You're kind
Again.
of close, but you can get a 30-minute episode in.
I'm tired as
All you
fuck.
have to do is
That's
record
us.
20 minutes. You don't have to do
I
the
can't go
most.
home and I'm dealing with kids for 10 hours.
would
I
piss
would
me
love to go home
Next
late
game,
out.
man.
Hey, listen, Riv. You
fries
show
in
up
the
for the
bag.
shows. You show up for the pick'em. You show up for the Sunday night reaction.
Well, I feel like
We just
It's
want to.
fine.
We want to see the best version of you. That's all.
when the NBA season starts, you're gonna get a full season, so
I
don't
can't
worry
wait.
about it.
For what's full season mean?
A whole year, like from October.
Like 82 games type
Episode
shit.
a week.
No, you won't get. You'll probably get
Episode a week.
yes, from October to end of playoffs.
Okay.
Inches for the Falcons.
Santos, get off my dick.
Here's the game.
Okay.
Fuck.
Now the next team we're going to talk about the next
I
game.
know you like it.
Oh,
a good size.
nothing.
Let's go Chiefs, baby.
Motherfucker, man.
It's basically the same shit fucking Philly
What
did.
was that?
Let's go.
They did that at the goal line and they scored a touchdown. I get it. Again,
What happened?
they ran this bullshit
Fourth and
ass
inches.
fucking draw.
That's
I'm
that guy.
pissed.
That's that guy, baby.
did he do?
Mahomes
That's
made the
that
tackle.
guy.
I seen that.
Hell yeah. Okay, so we got 2 super chats left.
Bro, what was that?
Not great.
Ricky goes, much love. Keep up the good work, fellas. Rivendell's
Clicky.
Shout out
hurts
to
sucks.
Ricky.
Joel, I need to see a Bo Nix tweet. And Drew, we hear I'm Bo leaving again.
Bro's a Bo Nix fan. Talk about hurt. Sucks.
Let's Bo, baby.
I quoted his tweet and deleted his tweet.
I thought
He
you
did delete it. That was
No,
crazy
I
of him.
did.
Ricky, you guys stand on business. Come on, bro.
Ricky,
We're better than that.
PUSS. Never mind.
Easy.
Okay, we
One
got to
letter
talk
away.
about this next game. The Chargers and Steelers. The Steelers won 20 to 10. Justin Herbert got hurt, and
Again.
I wish he stayed healthy
He had a high ankle randomly pop out.
You know
on
we have a
Friday.
bet.
with the
Chargers,
record.
Steelers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
3-0
I'm going
versus
to give
2-1.
you 2 games.
So
they
if
finish
Herbert
with
is hurt,
If he misses 2 games, I'll cut it.
okay,
I'm
that's
a
fair.
fair guy.
2 is nice.
That's generous.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, Herbert, if he's
Nah,
not
that's
out there,
fair.
they're gonna
And these-
lose every
And both of
game.
these teams are very fat, even. So it's like I keep that fair. If he misses these next
better
2,
man than me.
Listen, I think
I was at 4.
when watching this game,
I had to give this man fucking $200 after Kyler Murray tore his ACL.
well, what was the bet though?
It was
was
it
the
Cardinals
Jets.
and Jags?
Or
Cardinals and Jets.
Yes.
Facts.
I thought it was Jags.
but it's because Kyler played for the majority of the season already.
Played 10 games.
He did.
Yes.
I think about it.
You owe me. I paid you 2
years ago.
Yeah, OD. Put in my next check. And we're here.
So Chargers and Steelers. The Chargers without Justin Herbert, they're hopeless, and that's what happened when he exited this game. Taylor Heineke came in and he took sacks because even though Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater have been very good, the interior of this offensive line is terrible. And Joe Alt, I mean, there's a different tier between Crosby and T.J. Watt, and T.J. Watt was dominating Joe Alt in this game. And Taylor Heineke, he could not do anything on offense. He was getting sacked left and right. I think the main story of this game is just the resurgence of Justin Fields. Since the beginning of the offseason, I said that he should be the starter for the Steelers. Russell Wilson doesn't offer the same upside. Fields did throw an interception in this game, but he bounced back, and I thought this was his best game with the Steelers thus far. And this is how they're going to win. I mean, this is the Steelers' identity. They're going to take care of the ball. They're going to control clock. They're going to play elite defense, and that's how they win games.
Let me ask you.
Yes.
Justin Fields, truther. One of the maybe 3 in the world.
That's like 700 of those.
There's definitely a lot of Justin Fields.
Okay.
He gained a lot with these Steelers fans.
And honestly, deserved.
He has great aura.
I'll say this. I'm not going to be
He's better than Bo Nix.
not saying much.
Well, that's your franchise.
Again, not saying much.
I asked you the question a couple weeks ago. Did I not?
About.
Would you rather Bo Nix or Justin Fields?
And I said Bo Nix.
He for sure did.
You still feel the same way now?
Justin Fields played really well today.
He did play great.
played really
He's played
well
okay
today.
all year.
The game versus the Falcons, whatever. That was not a great performance.
Wasn't a bad one.
Last week versus the Broncos,
Solid.
okay performance. This week versus the Chargers, great game.
He hasn't
Nothing
had
to
a
hate
bad,
about.
Fields hasn't had a bad performance.
He
all
has
year.
not.
He hasn't had a bad
he's not.
performance.
Bo Nix
But
said,
nothing
what,
over
two?
the top. For sure, but we played against the Seahawks and Pittsburgh.
He's also a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, he's older than.
But this is about Justin Fields, though. I think
No,
Justin
and
Fields
that's
is
what I said.
in
He
the
got
Steelers.
it. After today,
Yeah.
I respect what he's doing, and I respect the performance, especially against. This is probably the best performance that he's had in a little bit of time in
What's your
terms of
question?
taking care. The question is, what's the ceiling with this Pittsburgh Steelers team with Justin Fields at quarterback?
It's always and forever will be the first round wild card.
Can they win the division?
Baltimore's 1-2. Bengals will probably be 1-2 after tomorrow. You have a cute little lead.
Browns are done. We're agreeing they're done.
If Deshaun Watson's still their quarterback, they're done. If Jameis
So if they
Winston's
go to Jameis, you're back in.
not back in, but they have a chance. I'll give
Okay.
them a puncher's chance.
I'm listening.
With Pittsburgh, though, they play Baltimore tough always. They play Cincinnati tough always. Fuck it. They play the division
Steelers
tough always.
got the Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants,
terrible
Commanders next like 5 or 6
Do you remember
weeks.
coming in that they had the hardest schedule in the league? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
And
well,
you hear this?
to finish the schedule, to finish the year, they get the Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
I don't know if they can win the division, but they can make the playoffs.
I see those Browns games. That could be food for them. I know it's the division, but they play Lamar Jackson
They'll
extremely
split.
well every time. That's at least one win in my
the division
opinion.
ones are you definitely probably could split
Yeah.
those.
They'll get 3 wins in the division.
Yeah.
For sure, at minimum.
Can they win the division? Yes or no?
70-30 on it.
70-30 yes.
30 being yes.
30
You know
being
what's
yes.
crazy? They could win the division. They won't win a playoff game.
Damn.
Listen, I think with the
shit, if
Steelers,
they can win
they're
the
just
division, they might as
they're
well.
the most complete team in the division. They just don't have the quarterback play. That's all that it comes
I'm
down
actually
to.
going to use this for supers.
Yeah, it's just they don't have the quarterback play. That's all it is.
Chiefs won?
Yes.
Yes.
Rats.
But if Fields takes care of the ball, if they could run the ball really well, because in this game they didn't really run the ball well. The Steelers only averaged 3.7 yards per carry on the ground.
Najee's not good.
Nope.
No, and Jalen Warren's not getting touches. I don't know what's happening. Maybe they're
Cordell
just hoping
Patterson's
that
Is he still hurt, or he's just not
I
getting
think
Maybe
he's still a
that's
little
why.
bit getting eased back into it. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Fields. This was, in my opinion, his best game as a Steeler so far.
Easy.
Right, 25-32. I feel like the first yes, fact. The first 2 games were very much don't screw it up, and that's still the game plan, and it should be the game plan. But this was the most where I felt like he was decisive, he was accurate, and he still just had that one interception, which honestly I can't even remember.
But I
how
feel
that
like last
interception
game,
happened.
a couple flags really tilted
the
his
George
his
Pickens
gear.
shit,
Like he
what
had
had
some
an
plays
extra
where you're like,
60,
what the
70
fuck?
yards?
Like,
Yeah.
didn't know
But
you can do that.
The ceiling does still feel a bit low because if you go into these matchups right, eventually you're gonna play Lamar, Burrow, all these dudes. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes on the clock, Justin Fields got to go 70 yards. That's where I just have the biggest question. Those moments where we know you're passing the ball, you know you're down 3 or 6 points, you can't rely on anything else. You can't rely on just playing safe, conservative football. But can you step up in those bigger moments? Because the Steelers have shown throughout these years you can win regular season games. They've been able to win regular season games with worse quarterback play, if we're being honest, than what Justin Fields is giving you right now. But still, the reason why they haven't been able to show up in these playoff games is because all of a sudden you're going from regular season week to week. It could be a banged up Justin Herbert and a Bo Nix. Then the playoffs in the AFC, it's Josh Allen, it's Patrick Mahomes. Like, you're gonna go up against far.
And every single game, you're the worst quarterback.
Yeah.
Every single game, there's no. That's not being disrespectful.
No,
It's
it's
being
funny as
honest.
shit. It's a fact,
Streets are
though.
saying you robbed me. I'm just saying.
We got to go back and see the logistics of the deal. We have to see what's up. The Panthers beat the Raiders 36-22. The Panthers, after benching Bryce Young, Their offense looks workable.
Workable.
Andy,
It's
Andy Dalton.
Workable. It was amazing.
Andy Dalton, you mentioned this to me
Yes.
earlier. Andy Dalton, the only quarterback this year to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He threw for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard, 21 carries,
Life.
114 yards on the ground, 1 receiving touchdown, 65 receiving yards. I mean, I say 55 receiving yards. Andy Dalton came into this game and the red rifle was rifling.
He was.
He was playing really
Red
well.
rifle was
That's a
poking.
marksman.
See what defense he used to see, man? He's ready for this, man.
Is there a bigger indictment on Bryce Young than this game?
No.
I hate to rag on Bryce Young, but it's seeing the commentary on the internet about the Panthers benching him, and everybody's instant reaction is saying, "Don't worry, kid. It's not your fault. It's the organization. It's the coach. It's the offensive line."
Pissing
And
you
I
off.
don't give a damn if Andy Dalton is a veteran. He's 36 years old. He's a bridge quarterback. The first overall pick in the draft should be better than him. But even if he's not better than him, the offense was unworkable. Bryce Young had 18 completions for less than 100 yards against the Chargers, which was a record of badness, by the way. And Andy Dalton comes into this offense and instantly throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, come on, man.
You know what it reminded me of?
Mike White and
Mike
Zach
White.
Wilson.
OD.
Mike White against the
OD.
Bears when we've seen Zach Wilson for all these years, and Mike White comes in. I'm like, you could throw the ball in the NFL. This is how this works. Yeah, I mean, shit, bro. To say workable, that's an understatement. This offense was electric. Deontay
awesome.
Johnson, 100 plus. Adam Thielen
Streets
was
always knew about
phenomenal.
Deontay.
Thielen got a little banged
Don't
up there.
sleep.
Chuba Hubbard, all of a
sleep.
sudden got life. I mean, I think more than anything, if you're a Panthers fan, and I mentioned this last time, is you just got to feel good because Dave Canales went out there and showed that he can move
Hell
the
yeah.
ball, right? This is the play caller. This is the guy you brought in to be the future head coach. Everything of this team to work with Bryce Young hasn't worked out, but he had shown, at least in this 1 week, this guy's for real. He's able to move the ball against a Raiders team that we thought defensively at a minimum is going to be respectable, coming off a big win against the Las Vegas Raiders. So they're feeling all high and mighty about themselves. And this was beginning to end just an ass whooping. And not just offensively, defensively, they were locking the fuck up. Like, we don't think the Raiders are some high-powered, high-flying offense, and they are the worst rushing offense in football right now by far. But to see what they did just last week to the Ravens, and this week they couldn't do anything. Like Brock Bowers, none of these guys could do anything. So the team as a whole really came together offensively
Question.
and defensively.
Does Devontae Adams make it to the deadline as a Raider?
No, he's going to be on the Jets.
God
Any
willing.
other team?
No, he's going to be on the Jets.
So that's a fact.
I think he's going to be on the Jets
Okay.
because Aaron Rodgers wants him, and they've been talking about playing together for a while.
Do you think he makes
Again, playing
Do
together
I?
again.
I think he gets traded. To what team? I would favor the Jets.
Jets should be favored.
So
Sure.
he's not making it. It's over. Do you think they just start?
You saw
sending the
Antonio
guys out?
Pierce's comments after the game.
No.
He said some guys were making business decisions out there, and we got to make business decisions about them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Going.
Whoa.
I mean, their
That's a
teams-
damning quote.
It's a bad quote.
teams
I
suck.
think the biggest room for optimism with the Panthers is the fact that I think more than anything, the benching of Bryce Young, and hopefully this benching does give him a chance to look at how Andy Dalton runs the offense, and hopefully he can improve on that and maybe add that to his game and build up his confidence in practice. But I think the biggest positive is that now you can see who's actually good on your team.
Does Xavier Legette have anything?
That's the
Does Jonathan
biggest
Mingo have
room for
anything?
optimism. Like, okay, Deontay Johnson actually isn't that bad. He's actually really good if he has somebody that can throw him the ball.
Sheech always knew
Oh,
that.
Can
this
Deontay have a
offensive
better
line is
season than
good.
DJ Moore?
Yo. Can he?
I mean, if DJ's quarterback makes better passes, no.
With how bad the Panthers were getting blown out, you couldn't even evaluate the defense either. So I think now, just with having a quarterback that can put up some points and keep games close, you can now evaluate your team and pick apart who's good and who's not.
And I know we gave him praise on the podcast earlier. However, Dave Canales looks even better after this. Because now when you go and you're 0-2 and you're the worst team in the league by far, you're the laughing stock of the NFL, and you make a huge decision. I mean, this is a franchise-changing type decision, by benching the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago, and you go in your first game and you have one of the most prolific offensive games of the season by any team. In the first game that you make this decision, Dave Canales is really looking like a superstar after this. And I think that although Dolan looks the best because he's the player, Next on that list to me is 100% Dave.
Yeah, there was a report that the Panthers still want to start Bryce Young later this year.
I did see that.
I think that's optics. Just like I think the 4 trade offers is a little bit optics too.
Yeah, because who knows what the offers actually were. Now, Jay Wash has a super chat that leans perfectly into this next team we're going to talk about. The Dolphins need Tua. The offense is god-awful when he doesn't play. Thoughts on Tua not being a system quarterback anymore? So the Dolphins lost to the Seahawks 24-3. The Seahawks are now number 1 in the NFC West at 3-0. Their defense held the Dolphins to 1 for 12 on third down. And Zach Charbonnet had himself a game. Geno had a bomb touchdown to DK Metcalf. The Seahawks are playing some good football. They need to play some better opponents, but they're 3-0, and that's the valid thing.
Yes.
Is Seattle the fakest 3-0 team you know?
Wow.
So it's them, it's Pittsburgh,
Minnesota.
Could you talk about Pittsburgh's opponents and who they've played? So I'm asking you,
Okay.
Seattle
Pittsburgh
has played.
just has that defense that you could stand on and be like,
Seattle
this should
has
be
played Miami,
an
no
elite
Tua.
unit.
They played Washington. I mean, not Washington Park. They played
DK
Denver.
looks insane.
He's amazing.
I think the
looks-
Seahawks defense is top 10, though.
I think Seahawks
like
defense
right now?
is really good.
It's going to be top 10 at the end of the year. Yeah.
I think
We
it's
gotta
gonna be
see what
really
the
good, but
next teams
it's
they
one of
play.
those where it's fair that where your thought process is coming from. We need to see them against a cream of the crop team. However, I do think that they're a talented squad. I think they are a real squad. But what you're saying to me is fair, especially when I'm being critical on Justin Fields and the offense. But I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is what makes them a legitimate threat. Where I look at Seattle, they're a pretty well-rounded team with still a pretty poor offensive line outside of Charles Cross right now. But I still see DK Metcalf. I think this is going to be his best season yet. JSN is now getting the ball all over the field. He's now going to be featuring the offense a lot. Zach Charbonnet, don't look at this as a game that's going to happen again. Miami's rush defense is horrendous. Ken Walker, that's the guy that I really look at and think that is one of the more talented running backs in the league. And then you
Abe
look at
Lucas.
the defensive side. Say it one more time.
Abe Lucas.
Facts. We're still waiting on him to make his return. On the defensive side, you know what they bring, especially in that secondary. What has been a question of them, it has been a defensive line. And they've done a pretty great job of getting pressure on the quarterback to bad teams. I don't disagree. But when we talk about Miami here, where let me show some love to the Super Chat, is Tua not a system quarterback? When you look at what the Miami Dolphins are without him, you could have the conversation that he is the system. And I know you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, Mike McDaniel is one of the best offensive minds in the game. Devon Achane has come to the scene, been one of the most explosive players in the National Football League. If you don't have Tua Tagovailoa, none of it goes. And that includes one of the best receivers in the game in Tyreek Hill. Because you saw what happens when Skylar Thompson's at quarterback. You saw what happens when Tim Boyle's at quarterback. We're talking about bad quarterback plays, to be fair. Like bottom of the barrel quarterbacks, I'm not going to not acknowledge that fair. But when you don't have Tua Tagovailoa, we're not talking about a top 5 offense.
Yeah, Tua undoubtedly elevates his offense with his quick decision making, his accuracy, his touch. Miami has also completely dropped the ball entering this season, right? When you look around the league, questions about Deshaun Watson, let's go get Jameis Winston.
Fair.
Questions about Anthony Richardson, let's go get Joe Flacco. Questions about Aaron Rodgers, go get Tyrod Taylor. When your starting quarterback has either skill questions or injury questions, it is so important to get a backup that can go up there and be able to perform for a couple of games. They had Mike White, who looked decent for the Jets. When he was with Miami, he wasn't that great. But to go into this season with Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle as really your only options, and they went out and signed Snoop Huntley, but again, that's a dude you're signed off the Ravens practice squad. He's not going to start for you for a minimum of a month. I can't believe that Miami just went into the season with this being their only backup plan, because you see how bad Skylar Thompson is. We know how bad Tim Boyle is. I mean, we saw him with the Jets. We've seen him throughout his career. Shout out to Tim Boyle, but he's not a good quarterback. He's not really a NFL level, even backup. He's a practice squad level player. So Miami, if they had, for example, and Andy Dalton, a Tyrod Taylor, like, do they beat Seattle? Probably not. I think Seattle still ends up getting that game. But this was like a 17-3 game for a majority of this time. There was a time where Miami had the ball in the red zone.
Miami's
they could have made it a one-possession game.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't a game. It was 24-3. It wasn't like some blowout start to finish. Like, there was times if Miami had better quarterback play, it would have been competitive. So when you just look at the rest of this Dolphins schedule, because sounds like to a minimum, he's going to be out for a month. It's probably going to be longer. Every single time here on out, we're probably picking against the Dolphins. If they would have had a high-level backup like Tyrod, like Andy Dalton, they would have had a chance going up against these kind of middle-of-the-pack teams. So, I mean, I think it's a lost season because you're going into every single game with Skylar Thompson, and no disrespect to him, you don't have a chance to win football games that way.
They have the Titans, the Patriots, and then the Colts. And they're on the road against the Patriots and the Colts the next 3 weeks. So winnable games.
I was gonna say best case scenario, you squeak out 2.
I was gonna say even like you probably win one of the 3.
Yeah.
If you win 2, I'd be a bit surprised.
I also do think, Tua's future is still very in question. I think putting him on IR for anything was more so him getting a peace of mind.
But have you also
waiting
seen
on the decision
that there's been reports that he got cleared to be on the sideline already week 1?
He took the fucking plane freight from
Facts.
Miami to Seattle.
That's what I'm
That's a
saying.
long-ass
It's
plane.
like they're already saying that there's things in motion for him to really get back to play. It seems as if they put him on the IR for solely optics, precautions. That's it. They're just trying to cover their ass, and that's fair.
How long was he out when he got hurt against Cincy?
So against Cincy, he was out for 4 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yes, or 3 to 4 games. Something in the middle, because he got hurt in week 4 or week 5 and returned around week 8, week 9, if I'm not mistaken. However, it's fair, but to kind of defend Miami, they took that approach last season with Mike White. Then Tua goes and plays a full 17. They think we're probably okay. It's not totally essential that we get this backup. Week 2, you find out we made a mistake there. So I understand where you're coming from. You're 1,000% right. Even the Jaguars going and trading for Mac Jones. Seattle going in and bringing in Sam Howell. God forbid, because you saw Geno Smith get hurt. Drew Lock also being the Giants' backup quarterback. There's certain things that you just need to have in place because you know how important the quarterback position is.
The Lions and the Cardinals. The Lions won 20-13.
It's the most aggravating game for me today.
And they control clock, 187 rushing yards, 13 more minutes time of possession. Another dominant performance from Aiden Hutchinson, who has been facing like backup tackles for like the last 3 weeks. I think he has 6.5 sacks now in 3 games,
Early DPOR
which is insane.
right
Yeah, he probably is the favorite.
Will McDonald.
Will McDonald is playing really well as well, and hopefully he's
5.5?
playing well for the
I
Jets.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's been insane.
Can I talk about this game real quick?
Go for it.
This one hurts because the Cardinals had every opportunity to take this game.
Yeah.
Detroit played well, and I won't deny that, especially on the ground. Monty and Gibbs really had their way. Amon-Ra looked the most comfortable that we've seen him. Of course, Sam Laporta did go down with an ankle injury, but they took J-Mo out of the game. Really didn't see him involved too heavily. They really wanted to focus on the run. And even still, let's give credit to this Arizona defense. Getting pressure on Goff, forcing him into making bad decisions, turnovers. They really did a great job, especially in big moments on 4th down, on 3rd down, getting the offense off the field and bringing their offense onto the field. What was disappointing was this Cardinals offense. How is it that after a game versus the Los Angeles Rams, I get it, they were coming in on a lull where they had so many injuries to the squad. You look perfect on offense. Kyler Murray goes and gets a Hall of Fame ball because he has a perfect passer rating, 266, 50 rushing, and you look this poor on offense. If you're telling me Detroit puts up 20 points and Arizona is in that game, I feel that they should win that game. There's no way you can tell me that they only scored 13 points and they're incapable of scoring multiple touchdowns. To me, this was a lack of explosiveness out of this Cardinals offense. Trey McBride really wasn't involved. There was a scary moment in this game too between Trey McBride and Brian Branch. Thank God both of them ended up being okay. I think Trey ended up missing, but Brian Branch hung around the sideline. Marvin looked good, but the rest of this offense didn't look great. James Conner looked all right. Kyler Murray needed to be better. And I look at Kyler Murray and I point the finger at him because, one, he's the quarterback of this team, but as a passer, wasn't really great. As a rusher, of course, he's going to bring that to the team, but there was really no explosiveness for Arizona. And when Detroit puts up 20, you need to go out there and you need to win this game. It's that simple, especially at home.
Arizona was just a TBD coming into this match, right? Like you had the great game against Buffalo, you end up losing. Then you go out and smoke the Rams. But I wasn't like sold on them. I thought this would be a more competitive game, although it was only like 10 points or 7, whatever the final was, 7 points.
It was 20-13.
Yeah, it did feel, and they got a little screwed. That Jared Goff interception,
Are you kidding?
2-minute warning thing, little wacky. But yeah, the Cardinals, I just think they're still young, right? On a lot of positions, the defense still got some way to go. Although I think they played well today. That they're going to have moments like we saw in week 2 where they go out there and they just look explosive because you have some top tier dudes at quarterback wide receiver and tight end. And James Conner, when he's going, is also a really solid running back in his own right. But there's also still like some clear holes on this team, right? Like defensively, I think they still have question marks. Head coach Jonathan Gannon, like he's had some good moments, he's had some bad moments. And Kyler Murray, for the high highs he hasn't really been able to put together a 17-game series in a 17-game season in a few years too. So we got to see that. So I think week to week they're just gonna be matchup dependent. I thought Detroit, especially coming off the first couple weeks Detroit got a little bit undervalued, especially thinking how high we were on them coming into the season. But yeah, I think Arizona is just gonna have some highs, some lows. They're just a young team, still got some things to prove.
Arizona, their defense and how they play their defense, it's like a three safety defense. And what they try to do is take away the middle of the field. And that's why I thought it was a bad matchup for the Lions passing attack. And we saw a sluggish passing attack from the Lions. They won this game solely off their run game. Their run game dominated early on, but then as the game went on, the Cardinals did a better job at stopping that. This really just goes back to, I think this loss is on the offense, like you mentioned, because they were not able to establish anything on the ground. I thought a lot of their explosive plays against the Rams came out of Kyler Murray being a magician and also them just being a dominant rushing attack against that team. But when the Lions shut that down, they were not able to get into their normal rhythm of offense and how they want to play. And I also thought Kyler was just off target with maybe 30% of his throws, and that hurts the offensive performance. The Cardinals, I know, are going to be a gritty team. I know they're going to be a tough out for any team that's facing them. My takeaway from this one is the Lions are in trouble. I think the Lions are in trouble. Because I look at the NFC North, and they have the third worst coaching in the division. I think the Vikings have better coaching. I think the Packers have better coaching.
To be fair, those are elite-ass coaches.
I know
Dan
they are.
Campbell's also a pretty great coach.
I think Ben Johnson being that great of an OC carries the staff a lot. Aaron Glenn, as a DC, has not been able to figure it out.
So sliding Campbell?
I think Campbell is a good motivator, with clock management and just the management of games.
He's better than Nick Sirianni.
I think he's better than Nick Sirianni. That's what Dan Campbell is. And Aaron Glenn has been on this staff for years now, and the defense is always bad. And the defense is bad again, especially in the secondary. Because
Was it bad against the Bucs in your opinion?
No.
Was it bad against the Cardinals today?
But the Bucs were, I thought.
I'm looking at the offense really as let's figure it the fuck out.
I think the Lions secondary is still bad. After the first 2 weeks, they ranked 24th in drop back EPA per play.
Did it look bad against the Bucs? Not really.
They let up some plays. I mean, the Bucs offense just let up a dud to the Broncos. I mean, the Bucs just let up a dud to the Broncos. The Lions pass defense
is good,
after the first 2 weeks, they ranked 24th in drop back EPA.
Yeah.
And I look at the system that they play, and Aaron Glenn likes to be very physical with his corners and play bump man-to-man coverage. The issue with that is that you let up a lot of explosive plays, and that's been the problem with Detroit. I think this is the third worst coaching staff in the division. The Packers are just as talented as the Lions, and they have a better quarterback that can elevate the team further. And then with the Vikings, I think their talent with the Lions is on par with how the Lions offensive line is playing right now. You could even maybe talk yourself into the Vikings offensive line being a step better, because the Lions offensive line has not been that same dominant force that we saw last year. And you see them almost lose to Arizona. They lose to the Bucs. They almost lose to the Rams.
I think Arizona's a good team, though.
Yeah, but the Lions should dominate them.
They
should dominate them. This is a contender in the NFC.
Yeah, fair.
And coming into the season, I looked at the Lions and I said, hey, I'm grouping them into the 49ers tier.
I agree.
Into the Packers tier, because I thought those were the three contenders coming to the year. The Packers, the Lions, and the 49ers. Now, the Lions have dropped off for me because I can't trust the offensive line to be as dominant as it once was, and I can't trust Jared Goff. If the situation isn't perfect around Jared Goff, you don't trust the Lions.
Goff's been bad.
Even his stat line today, he was not as good as what his stat line showed.
And the only reason you ever trust Jared Goff was because the situation was perfect. Yep. And if it's not, if it's a tick below that, then I don't trust him at all.
Damn.
What's Jess cooking up there? That smells good.
No, Jess, I'm being transparent, is an amazing chef.
Was it like tacos,
ground
maybe?
turkey, tacos.
Yeah.
Ace is just, I'm starving, dude.
Bro, when we were here for, what was it, SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Bro, I was talking about this food like I got it from Gordon Ramsay.
What'd you cook?
It was carnitas, I believe. Rice
Barbacoa.
and beans. Barbacoa,
Yes.
that's what it was.
Ace
Apologize.
just ran it down.
The rice and beans, no, she fried.
Who taught her to cook? Family?
She just taught herself to cook. Yeah, she just knows how to
Yeah,
cook.
Detroit. I don't believe in them either, but we'll see. You know, they have ways to go to get better.
Yeah, there's still room for improvement. It's just the offensive line not being as dominant.
So where do you have them
Is
ranked
my
right now? Are they
biggest
like the fifth
concern.
best team in the NFC, sixth, fifth, fourth?
So number one to me is the Vikings.
Yeah, six.
I
Something
think
like that.
the 49ers, I kind of have to drop them by default. But then again, they're so talented and they're so injured right now that I give them benefit of the doubt.
Number two
So I'd go the
is
49ers number 2.
Number 2 is Philly right now.
Three can be Philly. We can be
number
at three.
3 is the Packers and the Eagles.
Wow.
3-4.
Nah,
That's
that's,
what I'm going
crazy.
with.
1 and 2 team being over them is nuts.
And
then
one of the teams beat.
Yeah,
Nets, you know what I mean?
dude.
Like,
I go
the
with
team
the
beat them.
Love Green Bay.
I'd go with the
No,
Saints at
that
5.
team beat both.
Yeah, oh,
The
true.
Eagles
true,
beat both
true.
of those teams that he hasn't brought
I
in
think
front
the
of him.
lines are like 6. I think they're below the Saints, the Eagles, the Packers, the 49ers, and the
Seahawks.
Vikings.
Under the Saints,
What about
bro?
the Seahawks?
The Seahawks are probably 7.
Okay.
You think the Saints are over the Lions?
I think it's a toss-up right now. I think it's based on the Saints have played. They still have to continue it, and maybe I could give the Lions a benefit of the doubt and I can move them up a spot. But no, I think there are 5 clear teams.
I feel like that Dallas win is really swaying your opinion. I get it. Carolina was a great win. It's Carolina. And then they just didn't look that great like 4 or 5 hours ago.
Oh no, we'll talk about the Cowboys a little later on. We only have 2 more games to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't even-
But yeah, I know that the
Damn,
Saints,
they're the last game to talk about right now.
because it was the last game that finished.
True.
I believe it was the 49ers
Yeah,
and the Rams.
facts,
and
you're right,
that
you're
team.
right.
Yeah. Listen, that's how I view the NFC. With the Packers, they get a bump from me because they've won with Malik Willis.
Fair, but
But they lost to Jordan Love.
they did.
To Philly.
Yeah,
I guess that's the one
a
that matters to me.
1-possession game.
I think where we stand right now, and this
beat
is
the
where
Titans, I don't
this is
care.
where I feel like we can level.
And this is my thing.
Okay.
I think the Packers defense is going to be better than the Eagles defense this year. That's my thing.
Sure.
Eagles defense just showed out against one of the league's best offense statistically.
Packers defense has way more talent, I think. Oh yeah, they have more talent than us.
They do.
But
That's
we're
why I
gonna have a
trust
better
them.
offense.
You have better offensive weapons. I think the
we have
offensive
better offense.
I think the offensive standing can be similar.
Offensive line clears.
The
I'm gonna
Packers
be
last year were a
honest.
top 5 offense.
Yeah, I think they can still be a better offense as a whole, not just
I
talent
just-
wise.
You have more
disagree.
talent though.
Not as a talent.
I mean-
as the result, the end
I
product.
completely disagree.
But the Packers didn't have the talent that you guys had last year, and they were a top 5 offense.
that's because we flopped like shit.
But I'm just letting you know, talent
if
doesn't
we-
always equate to end product.
If we flop again, I agree with
You
you.
shouldn't.
But if we don't, I don't see the argument.
But
I
the
agree.
Packers
But
can't.
don't see an
The
argument.
Packers can't
I
do.
don't see the argument. We don't
The
flop,
Packers
no.
can do everything on offense. They can run the ball.
We can run
They
the
have
ball.
great playmakers.
we have great playmakers.
and they have,
we have the best playmakers.
They have arguably a top 5 play caller in the league.
Yes, I have nothing to say about that.
And I think Kellen Moore is more so
He's good.
average.
He's good.
He's average.
But we have great playmakers. We have a run game. We have an offensive line. We have a great playmaker quarterback. We literally
Yeah.
have everything.
The Packers
The
have
Eagles
the same
got.
thing.
The Eagles were showing
Jaden
3
Reed-
games of 380 plus total yards. They're averaging over 6 yards a play. This offense has been tremendous through 3 games.
But okay.
Yeah, but the offensive
this
gap
Eagles
is
you're
not that
talking
far
about?
off.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, it's been awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean.
Packers are doing it without the guy,
Cool.
Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's cool.
Listen, I respect the hell out of y'all. I just mean in terms of end product,
How many? Well, no, the second game against the Colts, they just ran the ball well.
which is all you had to do.
That's
Well,
made a
and
couple
also Malik
throws,
was
but-
super efficient,
like
just
10 to
careful.
13.
Listen, if
yeah.
with the Eagles, yes, you can get the offensive category, but I think the Packers for me get the coaching and then the defensive
coaching.
category.
You have it by far. Defense, cool. We beat them.
I just don't think either team is going to win with defense.
And I feel like the Eagles were able to move the chains on that defense. That great defense.
It was just the first game of the season,
Okay.
and everybody was
Let's run through his last 2 teams. These 2 games.
49ers and Rams. The Rams won 27-24. Now, this was, I think, the upset of the day. Nobody saw the Rams winning, especially after how they looked against the Arizona
Nice
Cardinals,
choke.
losing 41-10. But I think it just speaks to Matthew Stafford's brilliance. It speaks to the
top 3.
aggressiveness of the Rams going for it on a
top 3.
faking a
Your
punt
guys'
and getting the first down, and that led to a touchdown. This is one of those games that the 49ers didn't have all of their offensive weapons. They didn't have George Kittle. They didn't have Debo Samuel. They didn't have CMC.
Shout out
and
to
Brock Purdy
Jawan
played really
fucking
well.
Jennings.
And they still lost the game.
You were saying this, Joel. This honestly may be, taking everything into account, Brock Purdy's most impressive game. You don't have one of your most reliable options in George Kittle, Debo Samuel. We've known CMC was going to miss some time, and Jordan Mason's done an excellent job in his absence. Give a lot of credit to the San Francisco 49ers offensive line. It's drastically better from what it was last season. The time that he has to chill back there and make decisions really has been impressive, but he was smart today. He knew when to get out of the pocket and extend plays. He was accurate. He was precise. Even in a situation late down the stretch, it kills me. My guy Ronnie dropped a potential game-stealing catch. And then on top of it, Moody goes and misses the field goal. But that's what happens when you play against Matthew Stafford when he's on. You cannot give him a situation where he can be in a game and potentially win it. If Matthew Stafford has a chance to either tie the game or win the game in one of the closing minutes, I promise you, I'm taking Matthew Stafford 10 times out of 10. And he did it without Puka, did it without Cooper Kupp. Kyron Williams was a superstar today. But the fact that Tutu Atwell goes out there and he was one of the stars of the day, one of the most productive guys on the day, that is because of the brilliance of Matthew Stafford. Give credit to Sean McVay, of course, one of the best play callers in the game.
Shanahan.
But my God, Matthew Stafford makes every throw on a football field. His pocket presence is second to none. Why don't we talk about him in the top 3 of quarterbacks? He's legitimately perfect. If the only thing he doesn't do is he's not mobile.
Who's he taking?
I don't think there's nobody that doesn't acknowledge Matthew Stafford as an elite quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback.
Who's he
I agree
taking
with
out?
that. I love him.
Lamar?
Who's he taking out?
Burrow?
Oh no, that's that. Right now, it's Matthew Stafford.
The top 3 is locked. It's Mahomes, it's Allen, it's Lamar.
I think the thing with Stafford is if you're saying go into one game, win it, Stafford is, you can make the argument top 3.
He could be.
It's
You
just-
could argue to. Go in there and win it. You can argue to.
I would definitely be taking Mahomes and Josh over
No,
him.
Mahomes is number 1. No one comes close. You can argue.
No one
to.
comes close to Josh Allen.
I would definitely take Josh.
To
I would take
win
Josh
a
too pretty
game?
comfortably. I would take Josh pretty
In the
comfortably
closing
number 2.
moments, Matthew Stafford's up
Josh
there
is
with the
pretty
clutches
Josh is-
of the
yeah.
clutch.
No,
Josh
so
is
is
clutch
Josh.
too. Very
So is
clutch.
Josh.
Is he Matthew Stafford clutch?
Yeah.
Just take
Josh
the-
Allen?
Yes.
Matthew Stafford clutch.
He's Josh Allen clutch.
This whole clutchness came from this one
What-
run where he had the most
what
stacked team in the
clutchness has-
NFC.
What Huh?
The
Really?
Rams were the most
He's gonna do
I
this.
thought we were
stacked
gonna get out
roster
of
in
here
the
by midnight,
NFC.
Riff.
I'm not going to acknowledge it because I respect our time and I know you guys have work tomorrow.
Josh Allen,
Very
bro.
good, very
There's
good.
no argument you can make that Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Josh
Of course,
Allen.
very
no,
different.
I'm not
there's
making
not.
it.
And there's,
think Josh
there's
is
no.
very
there-
clutch.
Did I say he's a better?
Yeah, you're
quarterback?
trying to twist your words. You're trying to say
No,
if there's
it's-
one game, maybe I'm taking
win.
Stafford over Josh
I'm
Allen.
definitely
No,
winning.
I'm still taking Josh
definitely
Allen.
taking
I'm not
Josh.
thinking
I'm
about
taking
it.
Josh over everybody but Mahomes.
to win.
Yeah.
Okay, I watched him do it in the playoffs against great team after great team and lead game-winning drive after game-winning drive after game-winning drive.
For sure.
And Josh Allen would have done it if his defense didn't sell.
Ah, interesting.
Like, I just think I think Josh does the same shit Stafford does if you just put him with the Rams.
Easily.
No disrespect to Stafford.
Same thing.
They would have
Just-
still won a Super Bowl with Josh
just
Allen.
Josh
Very
Allen's
comfortably, actually.
He's pretty great.
He's fucking amazing.
He's amazing.
like no funny.
that
if,
guy, though.
If Mahomes didn't
We
exist,
can get him out of
if
here.
Patrick Mahomes didn't exist,
Josh
Josh
is an easy
Allen
one.
probably has at least one Super Bowl.
Probably.
Right? He probably has these
he
moments we're
makes it
talking
to two
about.
of them things.
And we're talking about him like him, Brady. Who's the best? Like
All right,
realistically,
all right.
if
Jesus
there's no
Christ.
Mahomes,
That's it. He's
Oh
the
my
best
God.
quarterback
if
in the
there's
league,
no,
not named
but I'm
Mahomes.
saying bar for bar,
Damn,
skill
you see how you even
wise,
argue Lamar?
shit.
That's tough.
Allen is better than Lamar.
Yeah.
Oh
Respect
no,
him.
that's easy.
Yeah, he's better.
No,
That's
Allen
easy.
is, yeah.
Easy.
There's no doubt.
No,
I'm not
no
even-
disrespect to you, bro, but he's better than
Lamar
Lamar.
has to prove it in the playoffs first before he could get into
Like
the
Josh
Allen
has
category.
proven it time and time again. Stafford has too, for sure.
He's unbelievable.
But I think
Has
Josh can
Stafford
do
proven it
everything Stafford can.
time and time
plus
again or
he's
just
mobile
once?
as shit.
I agree. Staff
I
can't
mean, he won
do
a
what Josh
Super
can do.
Bowl.
They lost last year in a wild card.
And he played amazing.
He was pretty
Yeah,
good.
but they didn't win.
Oh, so Josh Allen lost against Mahomes.
And you were just knocking Josh Allen for losing and not getting it done
And
when
I-
it wasn't
and
his fault
I
for losing.
backtracked. I backtracked. I said y'all got it.
Just Staffy can't do what Josh can do. I think Josh
No, he
can
can't.
make
The
every
mobility
throw.
is what makes
Yeah.
him a superstar.
Josh
He
can
doesn't
make
have the
every throw
arm that
Staffy
Josh
can
Allen
make.
has right now.
That's
Staffy
where
should
Staffy
still-
has one of the best
Staffy
arms
should
you've ever
still-
seen.
At this point at his age, his arm's not touching Josh Allen's
Of
arm.
course not. Josh has a better arm than Mahomes.
You're cooking.
I don't know about that.
Strength-wise?
It might be similar, but I don't know if it's just like, oh, he has a better arm
Nah,
than
Josh
Mahomes.
is the best arm in the league to me.
I think he does have the strongest arm in the league.
AR's up there, too.
I want to specific because I think that when it comes to everything quarterback, it's Mahomes.
For sure.
But in terms of arm strength, strictly arm strength, I think
I
Josh
think for me, it's
number
either
one.
him or AR. I
Agreed.
think AR is up there too.
Agreed.
Yeah, his
when you
strong
get into
arm
these
is
type of
crazy.
refined conversations, Mahomes is still in that convo, of course.
Listen, I'm all for the Matthew Stafford respect. You're just trying to push him into a tier that I think is
So what?
reserved.
So if he's not 3, he's 4,
Is he better
Yeah.
than Burrow?
right? Like
No, right now Stafford's playing better.
If he's
than
not three, and honestly, he's right there with Lamar in terms of skill. Let me not say skill because that's the talent he has as a passer. It's not close.
It's hard when you can do it as a passer and a playmaker at that.
And that's
level.
why, listen, y'all got it. I can't argue him over Josh. It's impossible.
Those three.
I think three. You could definitely make it.
I think Lamar Jackson also. I don't know why we continue this.
I'm not knocking him as a passer. I just think Stafford's at a different level.
No, I think Stafford's a better passer than Lamar Jackson, but I think Lamar Jackson is a great passer, and the difference between them as passers is not this wide gap. The gap between them as playmakers and rushing quarterbacks is this. Between Stafford's arm and Lamar's arm talent, it's more like
who hits
this.
every throw on a football field?
Wait, what?
Who can hit every throw on a football field?
Lamar Jackson can.
No, Lamar can. I think Stafford definitely has better touch. Yeah. I think he's more like deceptive with his eyes for sure.
Better processor?
Probably better processor. Yes. But like if you're saying just
I wouldn't even
talent,
say that because Stafford has he's way more turnover prone than Lamar Jackson.
I think naturally just more aggressive.
I think Stafford's just a better quarterback.
Stafford's also Lamar's like I'm in the pocket, it's collapsed. I have to make this throw. Lamar's like I can get out.
He's the better football.
He's a better playmaker.
He's the better football player because he can do so many different things.
Speaking about Lamar Jackson, what happened today?
Please talk to me about this. Well, he cooked.
Are you out on Dallas?
The Ravens won 28-25. Am I out on Dallas?
Regular season wise.
Yeah. Well, no, not regular season wise.
They still win the division.
They cooked.
I think the Cowboys can still win the division. Yes, I'm not moving off that stance. Okay. Do I believe in this team? No. I mean, the Cowboys are pretenders. They can't stop the run. They've been 32nd in success rate against the run since 2023. And it's just, I thought this team's defense would have more talent just with the names on it. But DeMarcus Lawrence is not the same player. I mean, he's like a rotational player at this point. I don't think he's even a difference maker. Micah's the only difference maker, but he seems to get lost in these big time games.
Trayvon's cooked.
And then until Deron Bland comes back, this secondary is very vulnerable because they have a rookie Carson starting opposite of Trayvon Diggs. So there's multiple ways to exploit this Cowboys defense. I mean, the Ravens ran for 274 yards on the Cowboys.
That was to be expected.
Crazy. So this run defense is terrible.
Nuts, but
I was surprised by how close the Ravens let this game get to.
They took the foot off the gas.
They did it again. Same shit they did versus the Raiders.
3-point win, and if the Cowboys played a jet sweep better, the Cowboys could have had the ball back to end it. I thought Dak Prescott, for the most part, played a fantastic game. I think the situation around Dak is really falling apart. Yeah. It is. The offensive line, you got a rookie left tackle. Terrence Steele at right tackle has been so bad.
What's up with Tyler Smith? Why don't they play him at left tackle?
Because he's better at guard.
I'm wrong, or did he not play well last year when he had to step in at left tackle?
He did play well, but I think they want Tyler Guine to go through those growing pains.
Yeah, I agree.
They have a rookie center as well.
Put him at right.
Who, Guine?
Yeah.
And then this was a game that CeeDee Lamb wasn't even that involved in. CeeDee Lamb was complaining on the sidelines after he fumbled in the red zone. And looking at how close this game finished, you look back at that play like, oh my God, that actually did matter. And it could have been a one-possession game going into halftime if CeeDee Lamb didn't fumble in that situation. And he had to get benched because of how he was acting on the sideline. And then Mike McCarthy, I think he's just okay. But there are just some obvious and bland play calls he has with Dallas that they have no chance establishing the run when you're down like 3 touchdowns. I don't understand it.
Him or Nick?
Nick who? Sirianni? I'll go Mike McCarthy still. The
Cowboys issue, they can't stop the run. They also can't run the ball. We came into this year knowing Rico Dowdle and Zeke is a massive problem.
Show love to a legend.
He is a legend. Shout out to him. He is way past his prime right now. And if you can't stop the run and you can't run the ball, I mean, Dak Prescott can only do so much, right? This defense has regressed from last season. The only win they have right now is over a Browns team that we're kind of looking at with Deshaun Watson. Like, is that a bottom 10 team in the league right now? Like, I mean, notice like the defense is good, but they just lost to the fucking Giants. So the Cowboys, I think regular season wise, when you have a quarterback as good as Dak, you're going to win a lot of games, right? They're going to be around 9 to 10 wins. They'll probably get into a wild card spot, but it's the same old Dallas Cowboys, right? Like, I'm sure they'll have a stretch where they play 3 or 4 easy opponents. They win those 3 or 4 games. Dak has 300 yards in a handful of those. CeeDee goes off for 150, and it's like, holy shit, the Cowboys are here. And then they're going to go up against a respectable opponent who could just run the ball down their throat, and they have no way of, and it's easy to game plan for them because they're so single-faceted on offense that
double team CeeDee and
CeeDee, or even if you don't double CeeDee, like, we know you can't run the ball. We'll play. We'll come back here. We'll play nickel. We'll play quarters. Like, please run the ball with Rico Dowdle. Let's see what happens. it's just incredibly easy to stop them on offense, and defensively they've regressed from last season. This is a team that they'll win games in the regular season, but that's where it stops.
I mean, the question that you asked me, do I still have them win the division? I'm still remaining with it. I'm not adamant on it, though. I mean, the Cowboys could very well lose it, and I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, this team has major holes, and unless Mike Zimmer comes up with different solutions to this defense, I don't know what they're going to do.
It's going to be tough. This team is, I don't want to say broken. That's not the right word.
That quarter and a half, they cooked.
Yeah. I think that's more Baltimore choking it than anything. Baltimore taking their foot off the gas. This team is just, like you mentioned, they can't run the ball. They can't stop the run. Their corners, their secondary is a little fuzzy right now. They don't have Bland. Diggs looks a step slow. He looks like he's still trying to get that rust off.
Facts.
And then it's just CeeDee Lamb. Like, Jake Ferguson's good. Let me show.
He's coming off an injury, having to
and then
do
Brandon
this.
Cooks just does not have that same speed he used to have anymore. It's unfortunate. He's getting up there in age. It happens, but it's just CeeDee Lamb and God knows who else. And when you can just take CeeDee Lamb out the game, it makes it harder on Dak. The offensive line isn't that good. They're stuck in that middle ground of just they know they're going to win a lot of games, but they're not going to do enough to win a playoff game or win two. So
Now, Derrick Henry rushed for 100-plus yards this
he did his
game.
thing today.
He has 14 games of 150-plus rushing yards. He now is ninth, I think, all-time, passing Earl Campbell in most games with 100 yards or 150-plus yards rushing. So, in honor of that, I wanted to do a Would You Rather on Derrick Henry
You're gonna say Earl Campbell
with some great
I'm
running
just so
back
glad
names.
that we as a podcast acknowledge Derek as an all-time great. Because that's
Is
exactly
it
what the
all-time?
fuck he is.
It is all-time.
Earl Campbell, he played with the Oilers.
Would you rather Derrick Henry edition peak for
Oilers.
peak? So the
Sounds
best
like the
version of
50s.
Derrick Henry and the best version of these running backs. These
Not a lot
are
of
recent
running
names. Le'Veon Bell,
I'm
Derrick
taking
Henry.
Derrick Henry comfortably.
I'm taking Derrick Henry.
Derek Henry.
Ezekiel Elliott,
I'm
Derrick
taking
Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Derek Henry. Can we just take a second? Le'Veon Bell was not easy. You made it too easy.
was Zeke easy?
Zeke was easy.
At
think
best of
Derrick
the
Henry's
best.
better.
At
I
their
think
best.
I say it was easy for me because the two were both elite at
Le'Veon,
rushing.
what he brings
but
you as a pass catcher,
that's why.
is
I
definitely
don't give
huge.
a
That's
fuck
why.
about that when you have 2K.
Why? Well, why do you love? Well, okay, keep going.
You have 2K.
LaShawn McCoy,
Derek Henry.
I'm only thinking because I'm an Eagles fan. Derrick Henry, though.
Todd Gurley,
Derrick Henry.
You did that on purpose.
Derrick Henry.
But I love the king. It's Derek.
Frank Gore,
Derrick Henry.
Derrick
Derek Henry.
Peak for
That's a
peak.
compiler.
I mean, yeah.
Frank is a longevity guy.
Facts.
But
It's a
Derrick
compiler.
Henry.
he had some great peak seasons.
He's dope.
He's
Derrick
never
Henry.
What's
been
Frank Gore's best season?
Yo, you also know it's crazy. You look at from 2023 to 2018. There's been 1 year where he hasn't had 1,000. He played 8 games. He just missed 1,000 yards. He was at like 950.
Frank's nice, man.
Frank's best year was year 2, 1,700 yards, 8 touchdowns.
Oh, did.
But after
When
that, he
was
never had more than 1,200.
When was that?
2006.
Jesus Christ.
The 49ers situation was pretty shitty for
Derrick's
a while.
just a bigger dude, stronger. Like I'm
He also had
taking
60 catches, 500 yards
His
that year.
nickname's King.
So he had
Henry.
2K all purpose.
Give me Derrick.
Next name.
Christian McCaffrey.
Derrick, I feel like is more durable. So give me Derrick Henry.
Just at their best. Just best for
their
best.
best.
Best for best.
CMC was
Why do you
nice.
ask?
I think CMC.
Because
That's
he's
tough.
a 1K guy.
That's tough.
That
But then
moves.
Le'Veon, you could have.
Was he a 1K guy? I don't think Le'Veon was a 1K guy.
But as a pass catcher, I mean, he
No,
was.
he was one of the two. I think it was him and Marshall Falk.
Right, you talk about CMC, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I hate you. This was evil.
I
He
said
had
recent
854.
names.
That was.
I
his
got to give you
most.
the heavy hitters.
I don't like. We don't give Scary Terry the 1K vibe, so we can't give him
I'm
that.
gonna go CMC.
Yeah, I'll go CMC.
That's the closest one.
I'm
so
gonna
far
go
for me.
CMC,
I'll
but
take
it's one of the hardest conversations that I could have.
Adrian Peterson.
I'm taking Adrian Peterson.
AP.
Yep.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna
MVP.
be
The only name I was waiting for really AP and LT, but
Yeah.
CMC I wasn't thinking of.
Yeah,
AP.
AP.
AP's so calm.
I'm taking AVP almost everybody.
Yeah.
And also to finish the podcast off this, just to tell you, the conversation we had earlier about the Packers and Eagles in the NFC power
yes,
rankings.
yes.
If you want to put the Eagles
2.
better right now,
I've done
okay, that's fine.
They've been number one.
But the
to me in
Packers are my
eyes.
Super Bowl pick, and I'm not teetering off that.
And
I've said that.
And
since
you
the
know what,
offseason.
Joel? I love that you're still there with that. Stand on that and stay on that. Please.
They've blessed
do
you
not
in a great
give up
way,
on that. Please.
where they have clutched while Jordan's been gone.
Yeah, I said before the season,
Hell
it's
yeah.
the Lions of the Packers, but I had the Packers winning
Yes,
the
I'm
Who
NFC.
they
with
play
you.
next week? Because Jordan's supposed to be back, right?
They play the Vikings.
Woo!
That's going to be a game.
All right,
Yes,
before-
must watch.
Before we wrap, we got 3 more super chats.
Well, please don't
let's
stray
get
away
Shout
from
out to
that.
the Pig Aside Ambassador in San Diego. He's back. He said he's proud of us. Appreciate it. Quick question: should Herbert be considered injury prone from here on out? I feel like that's been a thing.
He is injury prone. He just plays.
I
Through
feel
the
like
injury.
all of
does.
the whole 2020 quarterback class, maybe minus Jordan, even though he did just get banged up, they're injury prone.
Yeah, he just plays through it, so we don't.
I
We
just-
think of him more as like a tough guy than injury prone.
I just hate the fact that Jordan Love got injured in just
Yeah.
a meaningless way. Bro.
It's tough. It's really brutal.
He was really about to have a Hail Mary.
He was.
That shit really made me spit out my water. That was funny as hell. Rosario Noto says, if Justin Fields leads the Steelers to an 11-6 record and plays above average, what type of contract could he be receiving? Love the pod. We love
Geno
you.
Smith
I think a
contract?
Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith contract
with
is
you on that.
exactly the
Do the
answer.
Steelers give him that?
I think it's possible.
Probably.
What
it's
else are they
possible.
going to do?
I was gonna say they're not the type to go out and trade 3 first-round picks for someone. So
11-6 record. If they
He's
if they
earned
win
the
a playoff game,
He's earned
guaranteed.
the conversation.
what if they
with them
do
for
that?
sure.
What if they go 11-6? He puts up like Russ numbers from last season and they lose in the first round.
How does it look?
It's already looked better now.
Like
I
a
feel
G,
like
like
what-
the way that Seattle went down to the Niners that year.
I think what? No, I'm saying you said just in the playoff game.
In that game, how did they lose?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
How does Justin Fields
Like
rush-
they were
rush
obviously
Rob,
like they made the playoffs. The other team was better though.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll be honest. I'll give him the Baker Mayfield contract with a smile on my
though?
face.
But do Justin numbers move you? Because Russ numbers didn't move us.
No,
Like,
26-8 with 11-6, and you are
It
in
moves
a
you.
good game, but you
oh,
lose versus a better team.
He's easy getting
you get paid.
3 for 60.
You get paid. You get paid.
Yeah, 3 for 6 rise
3
on
for
the
60
low
is,
end too.
is valid. 3 for maybe 3 for 80. But
I think 3
Something
for 80,
called.
3 for 90.
Last one. Sean Courtney says, "What's good, y'all?
Sean.
So I proposed this question at work. What happens if Sam Darnold does something amazing and wins MVP?
Here we go.
What do the Vikings do with him and McCarthy next year?
You bring back Sam, and then McCarthy sits for a year. Next year is basically his rookie season because he was injured this entire
set
year.
him for 2. Shit.
And then you start McCarthy once that
Can't forget
contract
JJ's
ends.
really young.
But
Yeah.
Sam
like 20,
wins
right?
MVP.
no, he's playing.
That's not a contract where it's like, all right, here's 30M guaranteed. Like that's like
I'm-
2 years
I was
guaranteed
gonna
money
say,
probably.
Or you do the smart thing. You trade Sam. You get hella
His value-
assets.
his value-
But you'd have to sign Sam like, I
And
mean, he's a
then
free
trade
agent
him.
next year.
Yeah.
Fair.
So
That's a
like,
good point.
Listen, I love the Vikings. I love that Sam Darnold's playing well.
JJ's
getting ahead of
so
ourselves.
nice.
It's going to come back down to earth just a little bit.
Don't want to
That'd be
disrespect.
so nice.
Did we read this boneless question?
No, we didn't.
Just because it's a $20 donation.
Oh, shout out. Who was
Boneless
this?
or bone in wings?
Bone in,
Shout out to
always.
Andre.
Bone in always.
Bone in.
Bone in, for
Yeah,
sure.
I'll be honest.
Bone
If
in.
you are a grown,
Boneless
if
is-
you are a
it's a
man,
chicken nugget.
if you
You know what I
consider
mean? Like-
yourself a man, a grown man, you do bone in.
I love chicken nuggets, but they're not. That's not a
No,
wing.
I
You're cooking,
love,
I mean,
I
you're
love
cooking.
boneless wings, but I will never ever go somewhere and my first option is
I just
let me
like
get
bone
boneless.
and wings because I just get to suck the juices out the bones.
I feel him.
I do too, but why did
After
he
when
give
you
that
put
Did
it
he
in
have
your
to say
mouth,
it that way? No.
when you put it in your mouth like
Because
this,
he's going further.
and you just
like
eat the wing.
Do
You like
have you
flats
seen
or
that
drums?
video?
Flats.
Have you seen that video?
That's the only way you
of
could eat it
Joel,
like that, flats.
eating the sausage. He
Yeah.
puts the sausage in his mouth.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what Joel.
I do
just,
love flats. I love flats.
Flats are the
I adore
best.
Flats.
I'm a drum guy just because it's so easy.
Every time I go to Blue Fortune, I need flats. I don't want anything else.
The flats get messy.
Yes.
Exactly. I
You're a
love
messy
it
guy.
Yeah, I love it messy.
It's just flats. It's just a one
It's
bite
kinda like
type of
eating-
thing. With the drum, you got to take multiple bites of the
So wait,
wing.
I'm sorry. He just equated eating a wing and
No, I'm saying like my messiness.
you need Jesus.
Like when I go in
When
there,
you get
go from
flats,
the
you
back,
can eat the meat in one. You
But-
just put it all in your mouth and you
need
just
God.
take the meats out. And
Take
that's
the
it.
bone out.
Yeah, and you have the skin. You just get all of it in your mouth instantly.
Yeah.
You just take the skin off.
Then you start
take
sucking the
meat
bone.
in.
Yeah.
I like the drums because you can only do it. You need one hand. You just need one hand.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big user.
I feel like the flats you can use both hands for.
As one of
The
the
flats you could
two-hand
definitely
guy?
just use one hand.
low key.
Huh?
You could just use one hand with the
Low-key.
flat.
No, it's tough though because you got to really.
I
Get
definitely
in there.
like to get in there and just like really dominate that way. Yeah, for sure. I definitely like to get in there and do my thing. It's like spreading.
That's it for Super Chats.
Wrap it.
So that's going to do it for our week 3 instant recapping all the early and afternoon slates of the NFL week 3. We didn't get to prime time, but we'll talk about that on a podcast episode. Tomorrow, make sure you guys tune in after Monday Night Football into the Fantasy Reaction Show.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back on Tuesday recording a full-length podcast. Thank you guys for watching. You can follow us on Twitter at PickAside on Instagram and TikTok at PickAside Podcast. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.